On this episode of Roach Koach,
where, oh, where is the significant other episode?
You guys play that No Sex song on the radio station a lot.
Roach Koach
Podcast.
hot all day, every day.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Roach Koach Podcast, the journey to create the Nu-Metal Canon. My name is Lorin Kozlowski. With me, as always, the original Roach Rider, Mr. Matt Nas.
Keep it rolling, baby.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's summertime.
Oh,
It's
we gotta
summertime.
relax.
That's right, but it's hot in them streets. And that means it's also that fests are going on, which means we have to talk about some fests on this show. We haven't done a festival in a while. This week, we're talking about, some might say, the Fest of Fests, the ultimate fest, the Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium. That's the record we're talking about this week. And there's only one man that we could get to talk about it with us. This gentleman, self-professed longtime Roach Rider for life. You may know him from MTV Fresh Out Live. You may know him from KROQ, and you most definitely know him from the hottest new metal band in the land, Big Trash. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevan Kenney.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, this is surreal. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right or something. I'm like, seriously, I swear to God. No, this is amazing. Thanks for having me. And honestly, that was such a kind intro, Lorin. I do consider myself the Ozzfest Obi-Wan Kenobi. I really am. I am the only man that you could turn to for Ozzfest 01, and I can't wait to dig in, man. And by the way, I have such respect for Roach Koach. I'm probably going to be blowing smoke up your guys' asses the whole show, and I hope I can curse.
Absolutely.
But I came prepared. I got a whole Google sheet, dude, on notes on this festival and the history of the festival, so I'm coming prepared, and I'm just beyond stoked as a lifelong Roach Rider.
I'm so excited to hear that because, as normal, I've come completely unprepared.
At least you hit the catchphrase, dude.
Oh, you know it.
Kevin, before we dive in, I wanted to know a little bit about your history here. You're on MTV, you're on KROQ. What's your start in broadcasting?
I had a very unorthodox pathway into it. I went to college initially, medical dietetics. I wanted to be a nutritionist. I was really into football in high school, and I tried to walk onto the Florida State football team. And when that didn't work out, came home, became a pro wrestler, entered a pro wrestling contest. I think that kind of lit the fuse of entertainment in me. And I got a tryout when I was 19 with the WWE. I was a little too small at the time. They said, hit the weights, kid. So I went back to college and started a music show at my college. Got it syndicated across like northern New Jersey, where I went to college, a bunch of different campuses. Fast forward, I started a live events company doing trivia and karaoke nights. And then while I was doing that hustle, some dude that saw my music show when I was in college that I didn't really know that well was working at Billboard magazine, and they were looking for a new young music host. And so I got that gig. And then it's kind of a copycat industry, I always say, once you get the ball rolling. So people saw me on Billboard. It was like the day and age of Facebook Live, when like live video on Facebook was huge. And so a lot of people watched that. A lot of people got served that. And so that got me Dick Clark Productions. So I did all their award shows, American Music Awards, Billboard Music Awards, whatever. And then I also, this is going to really endear me to the nu metal audience, by the way. And then,
They're like, wait a minute. Dick Clark?
Yeah.
America's top
anyways,
American bandstand?
Yeah.
I almost said top 40, and I'm like, that's Casey Kasem, Matt, not Dick Clark.
Open up that fucking pit on Bandstand, dude. And so anyways, so then TRL came back on MTV. I was already doing a countdown for Billboard, and there was just one thing into another. Dude saw me in LA on Billboard, gave me a radio job, and I guess here we are.
Here we are. And now you have all of this going on, and now you have Big Trash, which is very exciting. I've been playing it for a lot of people I know, and my favorite reaction, I played it for one person. They were like, $20, $50, $100. That's only $170. And I was like, he's appealing to the common man. Okay.
I'm telling you, bro. Yo, I swear to God, everything I've learned about nu metal marketing was off this podcast. I really mean that. Like, so by the way, I don't know if I'm the only one that has noticed this, but what happened? There's a huge controversy in the Roach Koach community right now. I don't know if you guys know about this.
I don't.
I would say it's a scandal.
Oh.
Where is the significant other episode? Really? I can't find it.
You
I'm
can't
telling
find
you.
it?
I can't find it, bro. I
right.
can't find it on Spotify, and I can't find it on Apple, whatever.
That's because we host. This is the sexy part of the show.
Oh God!
Because
Everybody loves these things called RSS feeds.
yeah, so the hosting, the WordPress hosting that we use to host all our episodes only shows the last 200 episodes, Matt?
250, I want to say.
Yeah, and so because we're at 360, what have you at this point, all of those ones are only on roachkoach.com. So if you go to
Oh.
roachkoach.com, you can still find the significant other episode. I'm pretty
Look
sure
at that.
I'm
There's-
using.
It's a
Yep, I
plug
just
to the
googled.
website.
I just googled it. Yep. If you go to if you Google Roach Koach and significant other, it will take you to episode 32. It is there.
All right, thank God. I
yeah,
thought I was gonna have to scalp it or something.
Yeah, get it from a guy behind a building. Yeah, you got that, Roach Koach? Well, I'm glad we were able to nip that controversy in the
Yeah,
bud.
bro. I was
My
worried.
favorite part about just doing a Google search for Roach Koach significant other is that for some reason it's on IMDb, which is like, what? And also it says released January 11, 2017, United Kingdom. Nope. So who knows?
All right, who knows? SEO.
I
is
always
all over
mix
the
up
place.
Michigan and the UK though, personally.
That's right. We are the Europe of the Midwest. That's
We
correct.
It's the
are.
accent.
Yeah, that absolutely.
Oh, listen to the when you hear Monty Python, it's like, oh, it's all in the nose and it sounds horrible.
So Kevin, I wanted to know, with regards to Big Trash, are you, I don't have all the credits in front of me. Is it all you? Do you have other people that you've been working with? Is it an actual band? Are you touring? Those are the main questions.
Those are yeah, we've been getting a lot of those questions. So Big Trash is definitely sort of a product of my imagination. I write all the songs. Musically, I collaborate with a producer in Miami the South Florida area named Viggs. Viggs Make It Nasty on IG if anyone want to check him out. And I work with Viggs because, everyone listening to this podcast right now, Nu-Metal, what I love about it so much and why it's really, consumes so much of my life is it's a music genre with so many strands of DNA. And the strand of DNA that really connected with me was the hip hop side of it. So Viggs is both a rock and a rap kind of producer down there. Works with Mad Kelly, if you guys are familiar with Mad Kelly. And so Viggs definitely takes the music to a new level. But I write all the lyrics, collab with Viggs a little bit on the instrumentation. And then for live shows, you never know who's under their masks. If you want to check out the look of the band at Big Trash Music, and I kind of like that sort of mystique, that mystery. I remember this is not Nu-Metal, but Dashboard Confessional. The original idea of that band initially, Chris Carrabba just wanted it to be almost like communal. Where Dashboard Confessional, there was always different people. Eventually, they had like kind of a lasting band, but yeah, you never really do know who's under the masks.
That's exciting. I know you did a recent Nu-Metal night performance. Was that the live debut?
That was the live debut, dude, and I was really proud of that because I work in music, as we just touched on, and I didn't want to like push my music on anybody in the industry and be one of those guys, right? Like, oh, I'm making music now, and so I didn't really send it to anybody in the industry. And then the guys over at Emo Night LA, which is like the definitive emo night, they're huge.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did Coachella, like they're like the real deal. They hit me up and they were like, hey, can you perform this? Like, we'd love to have you at Emo Night. And I was so proud of that because, Nu-Metal to me, it's like, I feel like we Trojan horsed it. You know what I mean? Like we got a Nu-Metal band in on Emo Night. And that's honestly why we let off with Payday. If anyone's listening that hasn't heard the song, I wanted it to be communal or inclusive, I should say. And I think it just was the most accessible song that could speak to the most amount of people. And I'm both passionate about Big Trash the band, but I'm really passionate about this community and this culture of Nu-Metal. And I just want to bring it to as many people as possible, especially this new gen,
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely has. It's immediate party vibes, immediate good vibes, and as we were saying when we talked about it on the show a few weeks ago, like who cannot relate to Payday, the ultimate day,
I remember getting my check from my job, going to get in line, and it was like Friday. It was just like this huge line at the bank. And I'm just like, number one, I should really look into direct deposit. And then number two, it's like, we're all like, got to make it count. Got to make it count. And Payday, that song to me also, when I think about it, I'm like, what you're saying is like, you can truly splash out at any level. Like, it doesn't need to be Bentleys and private jets when it could be like, Crown and Cokes for the table, baby. Let's go.
Crown and Cokes, baby. And Dude, absolutely. You guys get it so much. And honestly, the punchline of the hook, right? Put your hands
Mm.
up, you got this money, but if you don't got any money, we don't give a fuck you got your hands up.
That's
And then
right.
and yeah, I just wanted it to be like, for everybody. And I really want this go around for nu metal to be for everybody. And I think that's what's beautiful about the community of nu metal is like there's just so many pockets to it. And it's just I've definitely seen with the emo revival, it become kind of elitist and cloudy and clouty with a T and sort of like this. I don't know. Like I just I'm really passionate. I work with I'm good friends with Holiday Kirk, who I think you guys are buddies with, and obviously
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
too. It's like we just want everybody to be welcome, and so I thought Payday was. I actually got the idea from 50 Cent of all people because I was talking to 50 Cent for work one time, and he was saying in the club, when he got the Dre deal and he got the Eminem deal, he's like, dude, I'm not gonna mess this up. I'm gonna try to make the biggest song ever. And he's like, every single night in the club, it's somebody's birthday, and it always stuck with me. And I was like, man, what is something that could just unite everybody?
Good Lord.
Everybody.
I've heard that song a trillion times, and it's never like been that moment of like, oh my God, yeah. It's always somebody.
It is
Somebody
always
in the
somebody's
club is
birthday.
always celebrating their birthday. I have never thought about that until this moment. It's like, yeah, that's why that song's even more ubiquitous because somebody's like, hey, shorty, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
telling
right.
you, I'm telling you.
Oh, wow. That's really canny. I mean, but also as you say that, I'm now thinking about the last 20
I
20
heard it
years.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Coming from a speaker on top of a rooftop
Yeah.
for a club later that evening. And it's like,
Telling you.
there it is.
There it is. And as long as capitalism persists, Payday will also persist. So I think you got a finger on the pulse there. There you go.
But then there's going to be a remix where it's like everybody's going to have their hands up, and then I'm going to be like whispering underneath. And if you have no money, everybody with money has their hands up.
Yeah, exactly.
I need like the Prowler version.
Yeah,
baby,
absolutely.
you got your hands up. I got them
Yeah.
pockets in. I got them hands in them pockets.
That's right.
Your next
So
track is called Sticky Fingers, and that's about Prowler.
There it
I
is.
like
These
that.
ideas are free. I throw these around like
Matt's gonna manage the band.
There it
That's
is.
right.
Perfect. So we are talking about Ozzfest today on the show. And Kevin, you were boots on the ground at Sick New World.
I was. Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Were you doing coverage? Were there as a fan, both?
Well, yeah, I was working there, but it was actually kind of funny because metal bands are interesting. And I was having a long talk about it. I thought you guys might get a kick out of this, is because I was trying to throw a party that night and I was trying to book a bunch of people. And the money that these guys wanted was like crazy compared to like what I would pay, somebody in the alternative or like emo scene, And I
Mhm.
thought about it and I was like, man, these guys were the last genre to really, at least in rock, to really benefit from like the CD boom, right?
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so these
Absolutely.
dudes are paid, bro. You got a hit on like, if you had a hit in 2006, like bless their heart, but like, that was a hit because of LimeWire, right? And you weren't
Mhm.
getting paid off that hit necessarily. And so my point being is what was funny about behind the scenes at Sick New World was, dude, the itinerary of interviews that we had booked. I was there with Amazon Music. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, this is like the biggest names, bro. Everyone dropped out except for Chevelle.
Wow.
So I did get to hang out with Chevelle, and they're awesome dudes and very smart guys, actually, articulate guys. But I got the vibe, boots on the ground, that these dudes, man, they're so paid, they're so made. It was like, yeah, we're just doing the show, bro. And even the press tent was like a little like chill, like in terms of like festivals that I've worked for, music shit. And we saw Scooter Ward from Cold is a good friend, and he stopped by, and Kitty was back there. Jay Gordon, bro.
Hey.
Holiday won't say it. No hey for Jay Gordon. Holiday won't say it, but I'll defend my boy Holiday Kirk. Jay Gordon stiffed the press tent, man. Said he was gonna do it and stiffed the press tent, but I don't know what he had going on. Maybe something happened.
Wow.
Eat
Well,
the
yeah,
streets.
I mean, hey, also he's he's got, I feel like this is like a new relaunch of Orgy this year. Like he's already teased. I know we heard a song, Matt, earlier this
We did.
year that was like, I think was pitched as a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new. And that seemed
Which
like
is
he was
always
like,
what you say when you got to put food on your family.
absolutely.
You're going to hear something that you're going to be like, I recognize that, but it's not going to be so much that it's the exact same song.
Absolutely. Also, I mean, I got to say, Jay Gordon, I've seen Orgy live. I saw them open for Filter. a few years ago, and the level of like he's still doing the full look, and that look in the Nevada heat, you know, he might have just been all drippy after his set, and he was like, I can't go in that tent. I can't have Kevin see me like this. I'm just all drippy, you know?
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I,
So
I think you're onto something, Lauren.
Yeah,
yeah.
the last look you want is melted candle. Like
Absolutely. Yeah. When you were at Sick New World, did you happen to even get a peek at the air-conditioned bathrooms that we've been hearing so much about?
No, but I had the the privilege of the air conditioned press tent backstage. And
Okay.
I gotta give a shout out to anybody listening who was there in GA because I don't know how you did it. I mean, it was hot, bro. I took a break before Deftones. I really had to take a break. And honestly, we were supposed to throw a party that night, like I said. And I think because of the heat, everyone just went to bed. And you know what else was interesting about Sick New World that I think is a kind of an interesting boots on the ground story? Is, and it speaks to nu-metal, is so many of these bands, and maybe this is for better or for worse, but they're almost cults of personality unto themselves, right? Like Deftones, Korn, System. Those are kind of like, they're all under the same umbrella, but they're different sort of communities.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to see, and this is no detriment to any of these bands, but like after Deftones performed, dude, like an exodus of Deftones t-shirts, right? I'm talking like thousands. After Korn, an exodus of Korn t-shirts. And that's to no detriment of, say, a System who's headlining the deal. But I thought that was really interesting where there were so many different pockets. And then they did a great job with the stages. It was a little tough to get around just because it was it was a whole block in Vegas. But, it felt like there was like a real goth vibe, on the Sick or the Spiral stage, and then more of, the mainstream vibe, obviously on the bigger stages. But I definitely felt something you could probably only feel if you were there. I'm a rap rock guy. I'm definitely on the hip hop side. Like I had to see Body Count. I was that type of festival goer. Not a lot of that energy, a lot of goth energy. And I think that's something to think about. I don't know if you guys ever think about this, but like what becomes of this nu-metal 2.0 movement that's happening right now? And what does it look like compared to 1.0? And I thought that was just interesting. It was a lot of goth nu-metal vibe in terms of the fashion and maybe the audience.
You know me, I've been trying to aim this truck squarely at goth industrial for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we get sent a decent amount of stuff that has something of a goth industrial tinge to it, but I don't know how much new stuff we've necessarily been sent, Matt, that you would say is like
I get it a little bit more than you because of my industrial past.
Yeah.
But like the new stuff is very, very different in terms of like if I say Ministry, everybody's like, yeah, we know Ministry.
Right.
If I say like I liked V&V Nation for a while, then it's like, well, nobody's making that shit anymore. Nobody wants to fucking hear that at all. If I'm like, I liked KMFDM, it's like, okay, well, KMFDM is going to be who they are forever. But then there's like, but since then, there's like 150 newer bands that are doing, well, we're the KMFDM, but instead of like the guitar sound, we use this. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with that. I haven't, so I get a little bit of it, but I can tell you this, it is most certainly aggressive.
That's right. That is right. Definitely most certainly aggressive. So,
but you give me a pair of new rocks, I'll be out there just. That's for the real industrial kids where it's like, oh, were those boots with platform shoes with springs that you could see visibly through them? Oh, yes.
I had a few more questions in regards to just the overall cusp of your day job, Kevin.
Yeah,
so
please.
How do we get one? And
I mean, for one, like? yeah, we want to get in there too. When you're dealing with the bigger names of everything, and I feel like things have really shifted definitely in the last 20 years as far as everyone knows like access is completely different now because somebody famous can just hop on Instagram Live and chat with everybody one-to-one, and so a lot of those barriers that used to be between famous people and their fans has really broken down. Have you found in your time period that you've been in the industry, like are people more chill, or are you still like you see somebody on Instagram Live and they're like, oh, that guy seems like really cool, and then you meet him in person and it's like all up front, still doing, he's got his one way and he's got his other way? Or do you feel like people are truly being more real with the world?
Well, I think it's a great question, Lorin. And I always answer this with like a caveat because everyone's gonna be nice to me, right?
Mm.
I can play your records on the radio. You're gonna
Mm.
be on television with me. You want a nice rapport. You want me to be cool to you, etc.
Mhm.
And so people are largely pretty cool. I find that the people that blow up quick, where there's not a lot of foundation or substance, they're usually
Mhm.
like the dickheads. And they're
Ah.
usually like the people that, I've rarely met a huge name. I mean, I'll give you a great story, and kind of shows off my New Jersey manners and lack thereof. Is we went to Madison Square Garden one night to tell Ed Sheeran that he was going #1 for the first time in his career on Billboard. Maybe his second time. He was with Beyonce on Perfect. And so we're back there and they're setting up the shot. And I guess the couch wasn't in the right move or whatever. So like last thing I'm doing is moving the couch, right? I'm there to talk to Ed. I don't give a shit. And
Mhm.
Ed Sheeran, bro, helps the camera guys move the couch. And that's Ed Sheeran. That's like,
Wow.
billion streams, whatever. And just couldn't have been cooler, couldn't have been more cordial. And that's one of the biggest artists in the world versus, not naming names necessarily, but there's just people where you never know what people are going through in their personal lives, but like, just like, people that have a viral hit or think they're the shit or whatever. And then,
Mhm.
that type of behavior in any line of work, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I will say the guy who definitely hated me the most for whatever reason was Wiz Khalifa. There's
Mm.
if anybody wants something to like, watch late at night when they're falling asleep is some cringe ass interview. Me and Wiz Khalifa on the Build series, which was a talk show I did in New York in like the late 2010s. And I made a joke in the green room about something he said on a radio show that morning, and his buddies kind of laughed, and I think he may have thought I was like trying to clown him, but I swear to God I wasn't. And bro, I would ask him questions about music. He's like, I don't want to talk about the music. The music speaks for itself. And then I'd be like, okay, well, you're really into MMA or boxing now. And he's like, I'm here to talk about my music. And so it was
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, it was ridiculous. So he was a little cold to me. And then also the only time that someone has had to apologize to me was the dude in 21 Pilots. There's only 2 of them, not the
Right.
drummer. So the main
Okay.
singer. But everyone else is like everyone else is pretty cool though, I would
Good.
say.
That's good. All right. I like to.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. We haven't had a ton of interaction with famous people, but for the most part, everybody's been pretty good. I did do way back in the day when I was in college. I helped a public access show interview people at Comic-Con, and I got to experience the full spectrum of sci-fi people egos. I mean, there were some people that I was like, well, this is like I met James Doohan from Star Trek, and he was not doing great at that point in his life. He was
James not
his
doing
health,
great.
James not doing great. Yeah, his health was not in the best place, but he was still like the nicest person ever. And then there was some guy from I want to say like, oh, it was the doctor from Star Trek Voyager. He was having none of our shit. He thought we were a bunch of idiots, and he was like, how long do I have to do this before I can get out of this room? And I was like just like holding the boom mic and just like talking to people, and I really got to experience everything. And then also I remember I met briefly Adam West in like a threshold doorway. He was just walking through with his manager, and he was just like, gentlemen, and we were like, oh wow, this guy, you can tell this guy, fucking legend right here. This dude,
Totally.
the real deal. We couldn't
Those
even
are the-
we couldn't even get him like in the room. Like he had some contract or something, and we were like too small fry, but he was still like, we were like, we get it, we understand. Original Batman.
That's
get
Uncle
Yeah.
Batman over there.
Yeah,
He had to
absolutely.
protect Gotham, dude. He was probably on call.
Absolutely.
Adam was
Absolutely.
always on call. He's like, I am ready to climb up the side of a building right now, and if Sammy Davis Jr. pops his head out the window, I'm all in.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he was outside like killing some smokes with his manager. Like they were, yeah,
Burning heaters.
burning heat. Oh yeah, they're melting down. Yeah, absolutely. I remember we met Lou Ferrigno, and the guy who was running the whole public access thing convinced Lou Ferrigno to help with some sketch that they were writing or
Oh
something.
no.
But Lou
Oh,
Ferrigno
no.
is hard of hearing. He has hearing aids, and they explained it twice to him what the premise was, and he only sort of got it. And then I remember they were just like filming, and he's just like yelling his lines at my buddy, and we're like, and I remember afterwards the guy goes, well, that's the take, that's the only one we're gonna get, like that's all Lou's giving us. And I was like, all right, okay. And then yeah, that I think eventually did air on East Lansing Public Access in like 2002. So if you were there, you might know what I'm talking about.
Those were the college days, Lorin.
Those are yeah. Well, I went to school in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, but my best friend, a bunch of my best friends, all went to Michigan State, and they were involved in some public access stuff there. So when I would come down for the summer, we'd all meet up. And that summer, they were like, "We're going to Comic-Con. We're going to interview everybody there." And I was like, "All right, let's do it up."
Is this pre or post no sex radio marathon college days?
This would have been in the middle of that. So yeah,
Deep
so
cut.
yeah,
I'm pulling it out. I'm on Roach Koach, baby.
that's it. Yeah, no, the note. It's so funny. This summer, so it's summer 2023. So 20 years ago was the summer 2003, greatest summer of my life, indeed, where No Sex accidentally ran on a loop on the college radio station because I didn't know how to use the programming. And as I think I mentioned on that episode, yeah, this girl I was working with, she came in, she goes, "You guys play that No Sex song on the radio station a lot." And I was like, how much? She's like back to back. I'm like, oh, I should fix that. That might be too much.
The traffic there is super pissed off. Like, what the fuck, man? You can't play the same song a million times.
There's other songs.
We have no sponsors, but still.
Yes. I think of that time often. This week we are talking about the Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium. I think this is either the third or fourth of the Ozzfest comps that was released in the early 2000s. Actually, it's the third. The original one was called Ozzfest Live, which came out in 1997. And then they did something called Ozzfest Second Stage Live in 2001. That was a double disc that represented Ozzfest 2000. And now we have this one, Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium. This was released on August 14th, 2001.
Wow, that would be a pure heat of it. Heat of it. It's now the heat of it because
Dude,
it's the summertime.
I'm still thinking about Adam West heaters, dude.
I'm thinking him.
That's
just
right.
Burning the heater.
Smoke this guy.
This would be a thick of it record. Definitely way close to the end of the thick of it.
Yeah,
bro. I mean, you guys invented the thick of it, by the way. So giving you your flowers. But I would argue this is Twilight. I mean, this is like, not to bring up a sore subject, but like, this is like the final months before a big change in American society in September of 2001. And so I would say this is kind of Twilight.
Ooh, Twilight of the thick of it. I kind
of I like that.
Unfortunately, does sound like a metalcore band, but yeah, Twilight of the thick of it is.
Listen, I saw Twilight of the Thick of It play second stage at Warped Tour, and they sucked, okay? They were more focused on jumping and less focused on the riffs, all right?
Yeah. Revenge of is a Dish was really good on that tour. So.
Oh, yeah. Great band.
Great band. Yeah. Good guys.
Yep. Good guys. So I got to say, the turnaround time on this record,
fucking crazy.
Incredible. Recorded June 9th and June 11th, 2001. Out August 14th. That is wow. They had those tapes. They sent them in. They said, "Get these ready. We want these on the streets. I don't even want summer to be over yet before you get this in your hands." Impressive.
I want these on sale the last Ozzfest.
Yeah, basically. Producer on this album, Sharon Osbourne.
Oh. Did all of us scream Sharon in our heads in
Sharon!
Ozzy's voice? Because I did.
Yes. That's another core college memory. Because the Osbournes. This is the thick of the Osbournes. Yeah, that is all the time going on. Now, Kevin, you're a little younger than us. So 2001. How old are you?
2001. I'm 9, turning 10.
Okay.
I'm an October baby. So yeah, I'm pretty young. I mean, I'm like at this point, like I'm aware of nu metal through wrestling. I was a massive WWF kid. And
you're kicked out of the NWO.
What? You are.
So that's amazing. And the cough at the end sent me. But so I'm like aware of it through WWF and then obviously TRL. But like with respect to real heads, I probably become aware of Ozzfest when they do and here's a deep cut, the Battle of Ozzfest. We want to talk MTV reality shows, bro. Summer 04. Shit. It was like you had to compete or something like that to get onto Ozzfest. But that's when I probably get aware of Ozzfest. So I'm 8, 9 years old, and I have no idea what's going on with Ozzfest at this point in real time.
Okay, I was not familiar, or this was not ringing a bell. I'm Googling this now. Battle for Ozzfest. Yeah, autumn 2004. 8 bands battle it out in a series of challenges to win a spot on the Ozzfest stage. 12 episodes. The bands... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only thing I remember about that show is there was some guy, I think, that gets kicked off or kicked out of the competition because he brings underage girls on the bus.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
This? Yes, I remember this. That's the only part I remember.
That's the only part I remember.
And they checked their IDs too, I think. And it was still like, yeah, don't bring anybody. It's a bad move.
It doesn't look like they included...
They did this one as like, are you girls of age? And they're like, sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course I can. Can you drink? Yeah, of course I can. Drinking all day. Oh, I love booze. It's the best.
So it doesn't look like they included that fun detail in the wiki. It looks like it's pretty dry here. It looks like it could use an update, but they list 7 of the bands that were on it. I like these names here. Trauma Concept, 6 Deep, Guilt by Association, Final Drive, Beyond All Reason, Cinder with a Y, which later they changed their name to Curse Your Name. I think they should
wait a second. Cinder, CYNDER or SYND?
No, CY. Yeah.
Oh.
And not to be confused with Cinder from Killer Instinct.
Correct.
Yeah. And then Mantis with 2 N's. And then the winner was the band A Dozen Furies.
Love those
They were
guys.
a metalcore band.
How many Furies? At least a dozen.
At least a dozen.
You got so many Furies coming at you. Prepare yourself for 12 of them.
They had one album called A Concept from Fire, which came out in 2005. They disbanded in 2006, and it says here members have gone in different directions while still remaining friends. Good for them.
Well, Bucky, Mark, Joey, Keith, and Mike, I hope you guys are doing well.
So Ozzfest 2001, you've got Sharon Osbourne. It says producer, so I have to believe Sharon Osbourne behind the boards, moving the sliders, moving the volume knobs, getting everything set up. Yeah, absolutely.
Pot perfect. That's Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah, I like to think that she was, was she? I guess this is pre The View, but I love the idea of her like working on The View and then being like, or was she The View or was she The Talk? Was she The Talk? Gosh, I don't know Sharon Osbourne's whole job thing. I wish
I had a device where I could find out where Sharon Osbourne.
If only. Hold on, let me see here. Looking at Sharon Osbourne here. So it was The Talk. I stand corrected. She was never on The View. She was on The Talk. I can't believe what a mistake I've made. But I love the idea of her being on The Talk and being like, listen, I gotta leave early because I'm mixing the news.
She goes to The Talk and she's just like, being a woman of a certain age is very difficult. And then she goes in and is like, I need it more brutal.
Yes. Do you think Sharon Osbourne does the Diddy style of production where she walks in, they play something, and she's like, more brutal, and then walks out of the room, and then a bunch of other guys have to like hit all the buttons?
And then she comes back to The Talk and she's like, Sarah, that's a wonderful point.
Earlier, I was trying to activate a pit, and these motherfuckers, and it's like, oh, Sharon.
She's like, Sarah, this is like when I had Cold Chamber and ICP feuding.
Beautiful. So I have a physical copy of the CD here. Picked it up from Second and Charles for a sweet $3.70.
Ooh, what a score.
Yes.
Is that a digipack? Is that like a soft bound, like it's all together?
No, man, this is a jewel case. This is a jewel case.
Well, I'll tell you, that jewel case presents well because
I have a feeling came off the truck, sat on the shelf, went to Second and Charles 20 years later, and then into my hot little hands. This is a very pristine copy of this album. I will say, liner notes wise, not a lot going on in here. You do have the honestly iconic Devil Ozzfest logo here on the front. I saw this on many a shirt in the early 2000s. If you were someone who went to Ozzfest but couldn't decide on one band to rep, you could just rep them all with this one. I mean,
If
this
you
is
were a person who didn't go to Ozzfest but know somebody who bought you a shirt, you could pretend real hard.
That's right. That's right.
I had a Lollapalooza shirt because my brother went to the first Lollapalooza, and all you have to do is silently be like, yeah, great bands. And that's it. That's all you got. And then know one fact. Yeah, they were throwing mud. It was crazy. Boom. I went to Lollapalooza at Pine Knob.
You guys know that without Lollapalooza, we wouldn't have had Ozzfest. You know that story, right?
Oh, I want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
I do recognize this story because I felt it was like they wouldn't let these bands on.
They wouldn't let Ozzy on. So Sharon sees Lala pop up because obviously, like, you know, when grunge hits, right? Like, bad time to be Ozzy Osbourne. And so Lollapalooza is like the hottest thing in the world. Perry Farrell starts that deal. And Sharon goes, we want Ozzy. And they're like, it doesn't really fit. And so Sharon's like, go fuck yourself. Like, it's fucking Ozzy Osbourne. And so she goes and starts Ozzfest like 2 years later. So shout out Perry Farrell.
Yeah.
There it is.
Honestly, I think that worked out well. I mean, honestly, I'm sure after like a year of that, Sharon was like, oh, we're making way more money than we would have made.
This is a way better deal for us.
Yeah.
Totally.
Front end and back end? Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take this.
Yeah. Now, it was interesting to go through these tracks and then kind of compare it a little bit to the Tattoo the Earth tour comp that we did last year, because there is a little bit of overlap, but it definitely feels like there may have been some lessons taken from that one as far as getting these 16 tracks to us as quickly as possible. I will say they really kind of nixed the banter on this comp. They're really just like, you came here for the songs. Let's get to these songs. We have some genre tags here: heavy metal, nu metal, and hardcore punk. These all 16 were recorded at two dates: the Alpine Valley Music Theater date in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on June 9th, and 2001, and at Deer Creek Amphitheater in East Troy, Wisconsin on June 11th, 2001. I'm sure you probably have this in your notes as well, Kevin, but I went into setlist.fm, and a lot of great people did maintain some set lists here. So we'll have some context of where some of these songs showed up for these bands as they performed. Do we have any other thoughts, opinions on this before we dive in?
Well, you know what struck me is when you think about, and this may have been strategic at the time, but I was surprised by the lack of like hit singles on this. Like, if you think about a Family Values 99, I mean, they're giving you the hits. I mean, like Mud Shovel's on there, Falling Away From Me's on there, Nookie's on there, right? Welcome to the Fold's on there. Clearly, I listen to that CD a lot. And but with this one, it was known songs, but not like the big songs of the moment. You know, it's like, we'll get to, you know, I don't want to, no spoiler alert on the track list, but some big bands, but maybe not the radio single of that summer.
Yeah, that is, I have to believe the thought process that Sharon was having was, you already know the singles, you know what's hot, and we're going to deep cut it for a lot of these. Now, there are a couple where it seemed like you couldn't do any other song but this one, and we'll get to that. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, yeah, there's a couple on here where I was like, interesting choice, especially when you see the set list and think you could have gone with any of these other ones.
Well,
yeah.
No, not to speak over you, Lorin, but I took it a different way. I thought this is like the CD boom era, and these bands were like, no, you want Last Resort, you're going to buy the album. You know, you want Crawling, you're going to buy Hybrid Theory. You know, we'll give you this other song, though, on this. I thought it was more political.
You know, it might have been political as well. I mean, it's just, I'm looking at also as just the Sharon Osbourne power level of 2001. I feel like she might have been at some level of a peak because she's running the show on MTV. She's basically running Ozzfest. This is Ozzfest peak. So, you know, maybe she is just thinking like, this is going to make us stand out, is we're not going to have the songs that you would normally expect. We're going to go with the deeper cuts.
Did you ever hear the story of when Sharon pulled the plug on Bizkit?
No, I don't think so. Let me hear that one.
So I used to work at 92.3 KROQ in New York, and station's gone away now. But they had a summer concert, Dysfunctional Family Picnic, that I think is one of the best Bizkit sets of all time. It's where Fred Durst calls out Scott Stapp, start the whole thing.
Yes.
So it's that concert. So Matt Pinfield, shout out Matt Pinfield, he introduces him. And then it was all like this whole fiasco. Like basically that venue is in New Jersey. It's kind of down the Jersey Shore. It's an absolute bitch to get to from Manhattan. And so Bizkit was late, which caused the Scott Stapp issue because Scott Stapp, I don't know. Everyone had to get moved around because Bizkit was late. And so then Bizkit went long during their set. And Sharon, Ozzy was headlining, pulled the plug on Bizkit's set.
Wow.
Like literally, like not proverbially, like literally was like,
You're done.
no mas.
Wow.
Turn them off.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we are going to get into some Bizkit beef on this album. So
Sure
this
are.
is perfect timing. Well, then let's dive in. To kick off Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium, we have Black Sabbath and their song "The Wizard."
Oh, you know it's a live album now.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you all had fun today. You know, this is 6 years now, Ozzfest, man. Should I make it another 6?
More six.
Six more years. See if you remember this fucking song.
Now, do you think they chose the Wizard because of that awesome intro that he did? Because, you know, that was pretty great. We got the 6 more years. We got the 666 underneath chant. That's pretty great. Or because the harmonica is so fucking metal, bro.
I think we got it. I think we got it because he said offhandedly, see if you remember this fucking song, which doesn't sound like a comment to the audience so much as to
the
someone
band?
he's beefing with in the band. Like they were rehearsing and he was like, we should do the song "The Wizard," and Geezer's like, is that on our first album?
Which one?
And he's like, you know the fucking song, you fucking I'm going solo again. Like that tossed off line, I was like, what a way to set a tone. This is the one they went with. And I looked it up. This is a mid-set performance. So it's not even like they're gonna open with like the way they opened the set with something real hot. They're like, no, we'll
Not
just
coming in
have this-
hot with War Pigs or Iron Man. Well, by
No,
the way,
no.
they put out 5 other Ozzfest albums, right? At this point. So, like,
Yeah, true. Well, at this point, this is number 3. So yeah. So let me see. What did they? Are they even on? They're not even. There's no. This was, I think, the first time that it was Black Sabbath at Ozzfest. So on the previous one, it was Ozzy solo stuff. So yeah, they were like,
well,
okay,
that is particularly weird that they weren't like, and here's Paranoid. Let's go. Like, let's really get everybody who's gonna buy this album to buy this album. Let's do The Wizard.
Kevin, how'd you feel about this one?
Well, I thought it was the bluesiest open to a new metal album that I'd ever heard. And I also wanted to ask you guys, is this the first new metal album you've ever reviewed on Roach Koach that opens with a harmonica?
I believe it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was in my car and I was like, oh, harmonica.
I heard the harmonica and instantly thought a freight train was coming. I'll grab my bindle. It's time to get on the road, boys.
That's right. Yeah, this is honestly, this song sounds like it is being performed in the sun. It's very sloppy. They're really just in it, sludging it up. And also it's just fun to know that they decided we're going to kick this off with a song that's about a wizard. He uses his magic to encourage people he encounters. I did not realize that it was such an uplifting message type of song. Geezer Butler once said that the lyrics were influenced by Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. So there you go. So right away, getting crazy in the pit. I mean, the thing with Ozzy, who I've never seen live, but I've seen so much live footage of, is that his show seems to be more of a spectacle first, sound second kind of situation. So he's going to have giant monster things. He's obviously going to be, in his heyday, biting the heads off of things. But then also he's going to be throwing buckets of water onto the audience. And I like the sort of low tech scale of just a bucket of water. You know, now we're in an era where, you know, like you have Steve Aoki throwing like a cake at people and stuff. But Ozzy back in the day, he's like, I need one bucket full of H2O and I've got a show. And a show he had. Sludgy start. That's okay. Next up, a very controversial gentleman, somebody we have not talked about in a long time on the show. It's Marilyn Manson with the Love Song. Kevin, we'll start with you. What's your Marilyn Manson relationship?
We haven't talked ever.
Okay.
Cursiary, I believe, is what we would call our relationship.
But I think what jumps out to me about Manson specifically on this tour, well, first off, I think what we should note is I believe he's kicked off the tour or drops off the tour in June. I don't think he completes the tour in 01, and I forget why. But this is late era Manson. I mean, this is like post Hollywood Manson. And that album, if anybody remembers, completely flopped. And I think what's interesting, at least like from a historical perspective, is Eminem, not Nu-Metal, but Eminem really like dethrones him as like the shock artist of the moment. And I think that's why shock rock had such a, I mean, anything shocking, right? Shock jocks on the radio. It has a bright flame and then it dies quickly. If you think about Manson, I mean, just 4 years prior, I mean, he closes the VMAs in back-to-back years in 97, 98. There's protests outside his concerts. There's actually protests on this tour in 2001 for Manson or against Manson. And so those are two different people, though. I mean, he is really like, you know, the Antichrist of American youth culture in 1997, 1998. And especially like the moment for Manson for me is Mechanical Animals. You know, that's like the zenith. And then there's a pretty there's a pretty drastic fall off to Hollywood, just 2 years later. And I mean, this is, I mean, you could argue this is late era Nu-Metal boom, and this is real late era Manson.
Yeah, it's funny is that at the time I was a pretty big fan. I was definitely a big fan of the Mechanical Animals album, and I remember when Hollywood dropped, it felt like a weird sort of retrenchment of like Hollywood didn't hit how he wanted it to, and so he's like, I guess I'll go back to what I was doing.
Mechanical Animals didn't hit the way that
Mechanical Animals didn't hit, and so he was like, okay, I gotta retrench this, and then just do what I was doing before, but at a lesser, because it's like you can only write Beautiful People once. So then it's like, here's not quite the Beautiful People again with, what was that called? Disposable Teens, I think was the single. And I remember this was still like prime, because I think Hollywood's like 2000, right?
Yeah, fall 2000.
Fall 2000. So there were like, when that album came out, it was like one of those big CD Tuesdays that I still think back on fondly, where, you know, you go to Best Buy and you just get like a stack and they're all like 8 to 10, you know, price to move. And
Lost Leadin',
baby. And there was a report, I want to say it was an MTV report. They were just breaking down how everybody charted that week. And I remember everybody had these big number ones, number twos, number threes. And then they go, and Marilyn Manson premiered at a very spooky number 13. And I was like, okay.
Not where you want to appear.
Yeah. Now, I do recall there being sort of like he's back and he's hot again with Golden Age of Grotesque in 03, because I think that album did go number 1. But it definitely was diminished returns after that for me as a listener. And obviously now with everything that he's had going on, I don't really even listen to his music anymore, honestly. So, but I mean, during that time period, though, it was definitely somebody who was like, I'm still trying to figure this out. And I think when you bring up Eminem, it's very apt, because I always think about the Way I Am video, where Eminem makes a reference to Manson, and Manson shows up in it, and he's in the back, and he does this point, and Manson puts his arms out. And I think the thought process was, I'm getting a cosign here, but I've always viewed that as, remember this guy? And Manson going, remember me? I'm still around.
You know what Manson's follow-up to Ozzfest 01 is, though? This is kind of a fun little factoid and odd at the best. Is his fall 01 single is the lead single off the Not Another Teen Movie soundtrack. So he covers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that the Tainted Love cover?
Yeah, so that's like the next thing he does. Gets his own Making the Video MTV episode for the lead single off that soundtrack. And again, no disrespect, that movie rules. I mean, when you're 9 and it comes out, it definitely rules. But if you just think about, like, I mean, dude, he was like the number one guy in youth culture in 97, 98. And like now he's doing a lead single for kind of like a B-level teenage raunch comedy. I mean, the fall off is pretty steep, dude. No one for Manson, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, he's he's got a lot of people. He's got to put a lot of food on his Manson family.
Yeah,
he does. And
I mean, I was there for peak Manson because like during my goth industrial path, like he came in right at the same time, and I wasn't a big fan. He always the theatrics that he had were not the things that I was super into, but like I had a lot of respect for, like, I loved his Sweet Dreams remake because I was like, okay, that's great song. And then he really made it his own. And then, I mean, Beautiful People, I think, is an undeniable track.
Iconic.
Yeah, it's like you hear those drums and you're like, this rules. And then when I saw him on the Mechanical Animals tour, and he was phenomenal. Like that stage show was awesome, but he still had a lot of the Antichrist Superstar stuff on stage. So like he'd come out like with the full androgynous outfit, the boots and everything like that, and then he'd be singing. And then, oh, by the way, let's go back to this this pulpit where I pretend that I'm a puppet. And I'm like, oh, and I still have the stilts. So I guess let's do the stilts. And then I was like, okay, he really is aligning himself with wanting to be like the next Bowie. That's kind of like the vibe I was getting. So then when Hollywood came out, I was like, you can't go back and be the creepy guy again.
Right.
Like you have to do another Mechanical Animal, like be the androgynous thing again, refine it and make it your own again. Because like Mechanical Animals, I don't believe performed well when it launched. Or it launched really well and then it was a steep turnoff because a lot of people were like, this isn't Antichrist Superstar. Like it wasn't that gritty, ugly, dirty album that Antichrist Superstar was. But I was like, music fucking slaps. It's like really good. So
yeah. Well, and you could almost argue, I mean, such a huge part of the history of nu metal is obviously covers, right? And reinterpreting, pop songs. You kind of argue like the first person to do that on a real mainstream level is him with Sweet Dreams in like 96. I mean, that predates Faith, that predates a lot of covers.
Yeah. And that I've heard that song a trillion. It's why I bought Smells Like Children, because I never would have bought that without that on there. Although I will say to this day, Lunchbox is also a great Manson track, but that's like from the first record.
Oh yeah.
I'm not really. So
absolutely.
And now we'll wait for Lorin.
Lorin. Look at that CD collection, man.
Oh, he's all about his physical media.
I love it, dude. Quick shout out though to as a longtime Roach rider, the Indigo Angel.
Oh, best in the business.
The best in the biz.
Seriously.
Sorry about that. So I think we're ready.
I think
we're dive in to this next one. It's Slipknot with New Abortion.
Fucking great. Great.
Incredible.
it's
incredible.
Great.
Incredible.
The Iowa energy is so nuts. Like those guys were like, we might not live past this. So let's go.
Yeah.
That energy is nuts.
They are previewing. This is all this is all Iowa preview because it hasn't even dropped yet. It's going to drop in like a month or 2 months. And so I mean, I gotta say for that, I mean, you're getting New Abortion, you're gonna get that before you get Iowa. So I guess that is a selling point in that regard. This is
that new Slipknot. You gotta get the Ozzfest 2001 comp.
What's it called? New Abortion. Let me check it out. Once again, though, this was track 7 that they played of a 12-song set. So once again, right in the middle of the set, I gotta say, Corey sounds incredible. Everybody sounds incredible. I think this is when the album really kicked off for me because this is the best sounding mix here. I got to say, Sharon's production really came into focus here. She definitely was moving the faders right on this one. So I was all about this. I wrote in my notes, now we're cooking. Let's fucking go. And everybody doing the damn thing here. Kevin, how'd you feel about this one?
Well, the not to take, potential money off the Taylor family table, or food on the Taylor families, as Roach Koach puts it, but the opening riff sounds a lot like Ministry Thieves. Do you guys hear that? Sounds a lot like Ministry Thieves, man, to me. That opening riff.
Listen, I think we all know that you can go into, we always talk about, when you're stealing, you got to steal from the best. And sometimes somebody's going to go in your house, you got to change your locks. But if you have read Al Jorgensen's autobiography, you'll know that anyone can go in there at any given time and everyone has stolen money from him and he's furious about it, but also it's fine. So I'm sure he heard this riff and went, sounds a lot like something I did, but who can say?
But everybody knows that Thieves is the boat that launched 1,000 ships.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Limp Bizkit still play it apparently every show at this point, and I have no complaints there.
Literally open with it. Like at every show, that's their thing.
Every show, they're just like, hey, this will work.
And then the other thing that jumped out to me is how much Corey likes to cuss, and sort of the art of cussing in nu metal. And it's funny, at the top of the episode, we were talking about my band Big Trash just did their first show ever, and we're a nu metal band, but we did it at emo night. And my one takeaway from the show, that my girlfriend pointed out, and I agree, was cussed a little too much. And what stood out to me was nu metal, rock, hard rock, metal fans love the cussing. Emo, not so much. A little aggressive at an emo night. But I would say Corey might be, I wanted to kick it to you guys on this. We talk about Mount Rushmore a lot with bands. He might be on the Mount Rushmore for cussing in nu metal history. He might be one of the best cussers.
He might be. He's up there. He definitely can drop some incredible motherfuckers in there, and especially a screamed motherfucker, which cannot be underrated, as we all know. I still think top cusser in the genre is Fred. I don't think
for Hot Dog alone.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But you have something, because with a fan base called the Maggots, you can't say, how are my maggots doing? You say, how are my fucking maggots doing? It sounds right.
Right. That's true. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it is also, there's an aggression level, like even if you've got emo music with a certain level of aggression, it can be a little weird if you are seeing like, an emo band that's really bearing their soul, and then you're like, how you fucking doing tonight? It's like, whoa, wait, I'm sorry, what? What's that?
Because like if an emo band curses, it's usually aimed at the internal. It's like, I fucked up and broke her heart. Like, that's emo.
Yeah.
You don't go external with emo, you go internal. Nu metal's all external. I'm never fixing this. This thing right here, no problem will ever be solved in this vessel. So let's fucking go. You wanna fucking go? Let's go. That's that difference.
That is, anecdotally, I've been told by my cousin who saw Godsmack live that she had never heard someone say the F word so many times in between songs than Sully Erna. She said, and literally, he's like, gonna get some fucking water right now, motherfuckers. Like, okay, all right. Okay.
I'm gonna say a wicked prayer, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it is true though. I do feel like it definitely also may just be, there might be a generational shift, because as you say that, I do think back to going to shows in the late 90s, early 2000s, and feeling like people just let the F-bombs fly. And nowadays, I don't feel like anybody's like, I got Beyonce tickets. I really doubt she's going to come out and be like, time for cuff it, motherfuckers. And be like, whoa! I don't think it's
not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
The one that really went over like a lead balloon was we covered All Star by Smash Mouth. And I said, with the shape of an L on her forehead. And then I proceeded to tell the audience to get their fucking L's up. And that did not go over well.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Can I see your L's? I mean, maybe that's how they took it. It's like, what does this guy want from me? My L's?
My
My
losses?
My losses? Ah.
I'd have to go to therapy to tell you my losses.
We've definitely kicked it up a bit with this one. Feeling good, feeling great. Now it's time to talk about our boys, Papa Roach and their song Blood Brothers. I'm always going to associate
good.
Yeah, I always will associate this song with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That's always that started, and I was like, oh boy, let's get some kickflips going, baby. Let's get some combos.
If I don't land this first string of tricks, we're restarting right away.
right away. Yeah,
I'm
not
not
gonna
blowing this combo. I'm gonna nose grind into an ollie, into a pop shove it, into a side grind, into a Christ air, into a. If I don't land this, start it over. I gotta hear Superman again. Let's go.
Yeah. So interesting to hear this one here. I mean, once again, immediately for me every time I was like, okay, this one doesn't sound as good as Slipknot, a little thinner. But I have warm feelings to this song. The band sounds into it. I like how he gets them amped up and then brings them down, and then he thanks them for singing along. So he's really just like really playing the crowd, and you feel like this also has that hunger in this performance. Like they're really out there, like they're living the dream every night right now. Like this is like, I mean, I know that, since then Jacoby has gone on record about like a lot of the shit he was going through during all this kind of prime era, but he definitely feels like a guy living in the moment of his success, which is exciting. This is pulling up the set list. From what I can tell, this was like the 7th song played during the set, which is once again somewhat of an unusual choice because you're going to get a band that's going to sound slightly winded on your live album, but
but also world-class curse in there at the beginning.
Yeah, some real good cursing up there up top.
1, 2,
yeah.
Fuck you. Come on. That's as good as it gets.
That's top tier. Kevin, do you have any other live performances booked soon where you can work in more swearing?
Yeah, well, we actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Grunch Rules on social media, if you guys are friendly at all. They make like, you guys probably would dig Grunch Rules. They're a party here in New York, and so they kind of make new metal memes and that such. I thought maybe cross paths, but I'm going to do a party with them in July here in Manhattan, and I think the cussing will go off a little bit better with the New Yorkers.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, and Matt can kind of attest to this too. When we do, when you're doing these improv shows that we've been doing and how we met, over the last 10 years, you kind of get a feel for these audiences sometimes. And we used to always joke, like we'd do these shows at this one theater and there would be like the early show and the late show. And sometimes you'd go out and you'd be dealing with these early shows, and the early show was like, you'd drop an F-bomb and they're just like, well, I cannot believe it. What is this person doing? And you've got to recalibrate everything. And then sometimes you go into these late shows, and these are people who are 3 drinks deep. They've been partying all night. They came to see a comedy show, and they're like, I had a woman once yelling at me, just like the suggestion of like butt sex. She's just like screaming anal. And I'm like, miss, I hear you. We'll make it raunchier. We understand. And so definitely like understanding that, feeling the audience of like, what type of audience am I dealing with here? Am I dealing with a bunch of depraved maniacs who just want me to say the F word all night? Or do I want people that want something a little classier, a little nicer? I've definitely dealt with both. I can say that the raunch audience, they want it super raunchy. Like it can't be raunchy enough. And what's real fun is then sometimes you go into the audience at the end to maybe like say hello to people or to give like a prize to somebody. And it's like this couple just out for a night, and they're just like, you guys were fucking amazing. It's like, whoa, okay, all right, thank you very much.
Like someone came to party.
you guys aren't done yet. Okay, I'm gonna go home, take a nap. You guys you're just getting started. All right, well, I think we're ready then for some big boys here. Some big boys who were just leveling up as this came into play. It's Linkin Park with You. So this is Linkin Park Ascendant. I've pulled up the set list from this performance. They did 9 songs. They opened with Points of Authority. They closed with One Step Closer. This was the 3rd song performed. Actually, it was Points of Authority, Paper Cut, With You. So interesting, because we're settling in to this compilation at this point with track 5. And this is also a settling in of the set here, because with a 1-2 punch of Points of Authority into Paper Cut, that's a band that's hyping them up. And now it's like, okay, now we're going to settle down for a minute. Not my favorite of the Linkin Park songs, but not bad. I mean, Chester sounds like he is giving 110% out there, really going for it. But we're in a bit of like a settling in moment here. Kevin, how'd you feel about this one?
Well, it's a huge fest historically for Linkin Park because it's actually on their Ozzfest bus that they start working on Meteora. They actually write Somewhere I Belong, the lead single off Meteora in 03, on the 01 Ozzfest bus. So that stuck out to me. And I also just wanted to give props to Chester because I think the reception of this band with this audience is a complete testament to just the power and how unparalleled Chester's vocals are to sort of overcome and maybe distract the Ozzfest fans from the presence of a turntable or from the presence of rapping from Shinoda, where he is such an amazing, incredible, again, unparalleled metal singer that it overpowered all of those elements, where maybe like a year before or even this summer, a Crazy Town never had a chance.
It cannot be overstated how much at this time the rap is crap mantra existed at a festival like this. A Warped Tour I went to same year was like, oh God, they're having rap is crap. Like they're really super creative with that. But like that was not just a couple words that people like that was a vibe. Like that was a real thing. And Ozzfest was a lot different than Family Values. Family Values had that, hey, we are the generation that grew up with rap. We are the generation that likes rap and rock together. Ozzfest still had a lot of like metal, not rap, metal, and rap is crap. So to see them do what you just said is like, yeah, Chester is such a huge loss still. And it's like, you hear his voice and it's like, fuck, God damn. Yeah. God, he had
one of the best.
Such a talent. It's so crazy how good they were.
Yeah. I mean, he sounds like he's giving it all here. I mean, I did write my notes though, like, would it have been cooler to have Paper Cut? Probably. But this was the Sharon Osbourne call. You know what? And she's richer than me, so I defer. Things are about to get a little dramatic, you guys, because it's time for Zakk Wylde's Black Label Society and their song Super Terrorizer.
Is that Thrash Lockmore on the guitar? Is that
this is the first song I've heard on the album, and honestly, the first song I think we've done on the show, maybe ever, that sounds like it also could work being on the side of a van. This is this is honestly my first experience with Zakk Wylde's Black Label Society. He is somebody that I've always been aware of. He's somebody that I remember, I felt like rock radio, Matt, maybe you could back me up on this, like Z-Rock and stuff like that in Detroit in the late 90s, mid 90s.
Yep.
They would talk about Zakk Wylde, but they would never play Zakk Wylde. He would come into town and they would sponsor the shit out of his shows, but they would never play any songs by this guy. So I didn't even know if he sang or not. And I guess he does sing. I wrote in my notes here that his singing here seems very secondary. And it seems like he really just wants to riff and yell, yeah, motherfucker, a lot, and to a mic that doesn't even really seem to be turned up. And that when he does actually get into vocals, it's big STP Cracker Man vibes, which is not at all what I expected. I was like, oh, so this is what they sound like. Okay. Yeah, this seems like very throwbacky. It's like stoner metal meets, honestly, like Dimebag level theatrics, which, I mean, hearing this, I was like, no wonder he's like on the Pantera tour. Like, yeah, he's clearly like a peer. Like, this is the same sort of genre riffing, but this does feel, I don't know, this just feels very old to me in a way that all this other stuff feels I don't know, a lot of this other stuff on here, obviously we do this show for 7 years now, so it's, all of it still is very fresh to me, but there's like a vintageness to some of it, a nostalgia, and to this just sounds dusty to me. I don't know, like I probably because I have no real history with it, but it just sounds very, very, it feels old in 2001 is what I think I'm trying to say. Like, I'm like, you're there, Linkin Park's over there scratching it up, rapping. You've got Papa Roach doing rap and rock, doing all this stuff.
Slipknot just caused 1,000 people to die.
Exactly. They're cleaning the bodies up. And then, Zakk Wylde's like,
you know what
I'm
it is,
play
Lorin?
for 8 minutes.
You know what it is?
Huh.
It's the energy. The energy is radically different between nu metal and metal. Like when Zakk Wylde's group starts playing and I start hearing like arpeggios and I start hearing like scales and I hear guitar theatrics, it's a way different mental than let's fucking go double kick drum, scratching, jump up, like let's get excited. This is like, it is much more in like my long hair, my dusty denim. This is what the bad guys do. Like,
yeah. Well, also when you look at the Slipknot song, the Slipknot vibe, Papa Roach, Linkin Park, those are all bands where if you are walking by and you look at the screen, you look at the stage, somebody is jumping. Somebody's jumping off a riser. There's jumping. No one is jumping in Black Label Society, probably because it'll blow their knee straight out.
You get is like a hunch. This is a hunch. Yeah. A lean back into a hunch.
Yeah.
Real lean and hunch.
Absolutely. So Matt, if you can please go to 235.
You got it.
Limp Bizkit still sucks dick.
Wait a minute. Zakk Wylde. Wait a minute.
So I want to point out, so I did some research on this because I needed to know more. And Kevin, you may know more as well. So first of all, the chorus to the song, as best that I can tell, is yeah, motherfucking yeah. So that's apparently the chorus to this song, which when you've got these tasty riffs, you don't need any more, accoutrement. That's all you need. You got that riff, and then you're just like, what do you say over the top of it? And he's like, yeah, motherfucking yeah. And you're done. So I Googled Limp Bizkit versus Zakk Wylde. And apparently Zakk Wylde was going around for a time saying Limp Bizkit sucks dick on stage. That was like his thing. And apparently what it is that he says, and this is from an interview he did in 2019. He said, I'm actually friends with those guys. They're all good dudes. And apparently what it is that he was at a label and he was talking about his band and they were like, yeah, we don't think this is going to work. And he said, why? And he said, well, your whole thing is not the thing. If you want to be bigger, then, and then the record exec motioned towards the wall behind him. And there was a big giant Limp Bizkit poster. And he basically said, if you're more like Limp Bizkit, it would be an easier sell. And to which Zakk Wylde responded, so let me get this straight. If I put on a fucking Yankee hat on backward, start wearing some fucking baggy clothes, put some Vans on, and start going, yo, 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 that's going to fix everything. I'm sorry, that's going to fucking fix everything. I was like, go fuck yourself. And I just fucking walked out of the place. And he's like, at that point, he's like, I'm not about to do that. He's like, I'm fighting for my life. And I don't want to change who I am. And I think that's what it is. But he says, he gives some anecdotes here about hanging out with Wes, hanging out with Fred, working on, I guess, like the Book of Shadows soundtrack. And he said that's where it is. I don't know. It feels a little damage control-y, but I mean, at the same time, this sounds like a very much like budding of genres, Limp Bizkit is, peak Limp Bizkit at this point. Zakk Wylde's like, can I just riff and say motherfucker and just do that? And they're like, I don't know, man.
My dream.
Don't take my dream away. It's funny. And it's like, they're both riffing and saying motherfucker, but apparently in the wrong ways. That's not how we do it now. 2001. Kevin, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, first of all, I feel like Zakk's beef isn't with Limp Bizkit; it's with that record exec.
Totally.
Yeah.
Seems a little misguided there, Zakk. I also think the coolest thing about Zakk Wylde is that he was in the band My Darkest Days, and they did the song "Porn Star Dancing," which is one of the greatest songs of all time. If you guys
Ooh.
aren't unfamiliar, or any Roach Koach listener, check
No, we
that
don't know
song
that
out.
one. Is that because that sounds like something that would fit on one of the misogyny but it slaps playlist? Would that fit there?
Bro, and it has the misogynist who slaps on it, Chad Kroeger.
Oh shit.
Oh shit!
This is like
Well,
something in your mouth era, Chad Kroeger. It's like a super group though, and then Ludacris is on the song. It's actually an insane song, and it's called "Porn Star Dancing," and it's like Zakk Wylde, Ludacris, Chad Kroeger, and then the dude who now sings in 3 Days Grace, Matt something. His brother's in 3 Days Grace as well. I'm blanking. But anyways, he was the singer of that band. That's like 2009, 2010 shit. My other thing that I wanted to kick it to you guys and kind of like make it a more bigger conversation is, so this is 2001. And I think there's two experiences for the nu-metal fan, and especially I would imagine the listener of Roach Koach, is like if you were a kid or if you were more active in the scene, right? So like it came up before because you guys were talking. I think Matt was saying that he felt like Mechanical Animals in '98 was like a failure. But I remember like the Dope Show being all over MTV. I was like, a little kid, but I was like, wow, that's a huge album. But you guys were like really there. And then if I'm thinking like Summer '01, I'm like, man, Bizkit's still like hot as hell. Bizkit's still so cool. But there was obviously enough like sentiment for Zakk Wylde to think that saying that was going to endear him to an audience, right? So what are your memories of like where Limp Bizkit sat at that time where Zakk Wylde saying this?
my memory, especially 2001, is definitely that there was some pushback that I was aware of, as far as hearing from people every now and again anecdotally of like, oh, I can't stand that guy, in regards to Fred Durst. But I think honestly, you look at that post 9/11 era, Wes leaves, Fred is then just showing up in stuff. He's showing up on that What's Going On remix, and it's like, is this guy turning into something of a cornball? And I definitely feel like post that time period, you're definitely running into the Results May Vary era where Wes is out. It definitely, you feel the tide turning. And because as we talked about on our marathon Results May Vary episode, when that record came out, I remember people being like, Limp Bizkit, are we still talking about this? This is still a thing? Like what is going on? And so I think he probably, I mean, was getting in at the right time for an anti-Limp Bizkit sentiment. I mean, but also as you know, like when a bands get super, super big, we're all just waiting for the fall at a certain point, since no one can maintain that level forever. It's, you have your imperial era, as they say, and then you come down out of that, and it's how you survive that. I think nowadays though, even if you don't have an imperial era anymore, you can still persist through just dedicated fan bases who will just carry you forever. Like I always think about like the Nicki Minaj arc, and how if Nicki Minaj had come out in 2000 and had the exact same arc, she'd just be a done artist at this point. But Nicki Minaj is somehow, despite the fact that I feel like hasn't had a hit in like 6 years, still is persistent in the culture. And
I mean, she just had a song with Ice Spice.
Exactly. And it's still, so she's still able to like hold on to that, because the Barbs are forever. they will never abandon her,
Well,
but
you know what that is too. Oh, sorry, Lorin.
Oh, go ahead.
You know what that is too, to tie it back to something you were talking about earlier, is just how media has changed. Part of that too, that longevity with Nicki example, is like, well, Nicki has her own distribution, social media, right?
Right.
So what would happen back in the day is like MTV or radio would be the distribution, and if they abandon you as an artist, well, then you're fucked, right?
Right.
And so there's always those Barbs are always like sort of harvested, if you will, for lack of a better term, because she can always talk to them, right? So like when she accumulates, and that's like, not to go off on a fucking tangent, but that's what's fascinating too about social media, is like, maybe you haven't had a hit in 6 years, but you still have those followers, bro, from 6 years ago. You still have that audience, you know what I mean? If you ever want to, work a record, like obviously she does. But is there a moment, guys, where like, because what I'm fascinated by is like, when does Limp Bizkit jump the shark in your guys' memory? Because we eventually get like the Will Sasso, Mad TV, parodies of them.
Mhm.
You get, I mean, what's funny for me in my memory, what I think kills that whole movement in nu metal is the Bowling for Soup music video for Girl All the Bad Guys Want. Huge hit song for like, that's like, and I'm like, my generation, I was 11 when the pop punk thing went crazy. So that's what we were championing as kids. And that was like the best song ever. And that whole video is clowning Fred Durst, Aaron Lewis, etc. But do you guys have a memory of when that shit like jumped the shark?
Well, for me personally, because I did not like nu metal when it launched, but it was undeniable, and it was like, okay, this is culture. Was like, I mean, 1999 is like, this is peak culture. And then after Woodstock 99, there was still like enough head of steam, very much culturally, to keep it moving. But I think like in my sphere, that took a little wind out of it, because it was like this thing that was kind of a disaster. It was a lot of nu metal. It was a lot of this. And then 2000 was like kind of coasting. And by the time we get to 2001, just like when you look at the other music that's coming out, it definitely felt like there's newer things happening in the mainstream. Because the thing is, like, nu metal really did capture the hearts of a mainstream audience that hated the bubblegum pop of the boy bands. So it was like this very reactionary thing that happened. And it was easy for, I mean, TRL played it perfectly, where it was sides. I'm here for Britney Spears. I'm here for Korn. When on earth is that going back and forth, number one, number two, other than like really in this moment? And then like this weird thing starts happening around that time of, you get this big push of what's going to be the future of sleaze. So you're going to have the Strokes start to come in. The third White Stripes record starts to come in. Now there's this underground rock thing that's happening, that's now not, if we take a look from the first Korn record to get to 2001, a lot of people are starting to age out into, I'm not going to go to those shows anymore because I need to use my knees for my day job, to I'm not listening to that because my cousin listened to that, or my older cousins, or whatever, and I want to find, and pop punk kind of filled that void. But then indie sleaze started to come in and fill those voids. I mean, honestly, 2001, we're looking at the Discovery, Daft Punk, White Blood Cells, Is This It, Amnesiac. From a hip hop standpoint, we got the Blueprint dropping. Missy So Addictive is here. I'm literally looking at a list of albums from 2001. My favorite, I Get Wet by Andrew WK, is happening. So there's starting to be a splinter in the mainstream. Whereas you go to the charts in 99, 2000, it definitely feels more like Stained, Limp Bizkit, Korn, and followed with Britney, Christina, NSYNC. And that's starting to get brushed aside. And the undercurrent is this new thing. So I would say I really did start to feel it. And then, of course, when you get to September 11th, we're done. We don't none of that, please. None of that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Fucking play some James Taylor, please. Like, I just need, I just need to feel like okay for a second. So
I mean, I think we've talked about it a lot also, is just that a lot of the records that people put out in the summer of 03, which was a lot of like, everybody's finally back. Deftones came back, Korn came back, Limp Bizkit came back, and it was like, how did you handle this shift now? And with Limp Bizkit, it was like, well, we're still going to be us, but we're going to be softer, but also we lost our signature guy. And it's like, everyone's like, no, we're not here for it. And Korn's like, we're just going to do what we've always done. And everyone's like, I don't know if we want that either. And so it's all this sort of flattening there. Cause I remember, like that summer of 03, just thinking like, this is definitely a shift here, because the hottest record of the fall was not a rock record. It was Outkast, Speakerboxxx Love Below. That's what everybody cared about. So I think that in my memory was definitely where it is. And also just the splintering, as you said, Matt, with the internet, because it used to be,
right.
I'd say, 99. If you're not hearing it on the radio, then you're going to go to the store and buy it on CD. And then otherwise you've got to do the research. But 2001 to 2003, You're talking Napster, you're talking LimeWire, you're talking Audio Galaxy, everything that came and went, where you could just go in and just type the name of a band or a genre, and suddenly you're like, what's this? I've never even heard this before. And so now you've opened that up, and yeah, the things that you thought you were interested in, you're like, wait a minute, there's a whole new world out here. Europe, heard of it? So many musicians. That was me.
Europe?
Downloading
The continent?
Listen, I was like, wait a minute. They got
The
DJs,
Final Countdown band?
They got DJs with British accents talking about doves. Let me have this MP3, please. So yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Guys, believe it or not, we got some more songs to go on this album.
We do?
We do.
I thought we were done.
It was a whole fest, baby. A whole fest.
All right.
Next up, it's your favorite, Matt. It's Disturbed with Fear.
Ugh.
Time to take shit up a notch.
Sure it is, Draymond.
This is Fear.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is great. They sound incredible. This is prime Disturbed. I pulled up this set list, and I'm going to be honest. I wish I was at the Alpine Valley Music Theater in East Troy, Wisconsin on June 9, 2001. Because listen to this. 9 songs, all heaters. The Game, Conflict, Voices, Violence Fetish, Fear, Dropping Plates, Shout Cover, Down with the Sickness, Stupefy. And then they leave Conquering Heroes.
Unreal.
How dare you?
Matt.
Dare you?
Matt. In 2001, Alpine Valley Music Theater. They played this song, and then they said, okay, everybody. And then they played Dropping Plates.
That I would have loved to see live.
I read this and I was like,
what a time to be alive.
Time machine. They're like, you got a time machine. Where you going? I'm like, I'm going to Ozzfest 01, baby. Disturbed was playing Dropping Plates every night. Yeah, top tier, Draymond up top. I mean, we don't get a ton of band. Like I said, the banter is largely cut on this album. I was glad that we got a little bit there. Him asking for a C, a motherfucking pits. Beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I felt great. One of my favorites on the album. Kevin, Disturbed.
I think that This Is Fear is one of the most badass intros to a song, whether the song is called Fear or not. And I just want to say happy anniversary to David Draymond on this tour, because in 2000 is when we got the Hannibal Lecter deal. So all Ozzfest 2000, they would wheel him out on like a hand cart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Disrobe him, I guess, in a certain sense. And also shout out to David nowadays. He's living his best life on Tinder.
That's right. That's right. He is. Have you had any interactions with any members of Disturbed in your career?
Bro, I have hosted, and I believe this is factual, the first and only Wakaka contest. So I used to do a talk show in New York City called the Build Series, and it was so cool, dude. It was like live on television, and it was like real fans, not a casted studio audience, and very loosey goosey. Like, yo, we got a cool idea, let's just do it. And so I was like, bro, they're doing MSG tonight. We got tickets and an autographed picture. We had them autograph this picture real quick, and we had 3 dudes in the audience, and everyone did their Wakaka, and then David had to pick who did the best Wakaka. And it's on my IG, not to be like corny and plug my IG, but at Kevan Kenney on IG, you can watch it. Actually, we just posted it a couple days ago, but it was back in 2018.
Beautiful. Oh,
yeah.
I'm definitely looking that up. I love it. Oh, I mean, could you imagine, Matt? You've been training on your Wakaka forever, and then David says you did it. You are me. I mean, incredible validation.
A dude named Jerry from Boston won. And he looks exactly like you would imagine a dude named Jerry from Boston who listens to Disturbed.
Beautiful.
Why he was at that show in New York City, I hope it wasn't for that, but I hope he was also visiting family. But also a quick David Draymond anecdote is one time he told me that somebody made me ask him like about craziest fan story. And apparently there is a woman in the world right now, hopefully still alive, that has his face on her chest, her breastises.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a decision.
That is a real decision.
That's a life choice.
You're sitting down, you're like, I need David Draymond's face on my chest. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, that's the type of thing I hear about, and I'm just like, that's what is ego wise and everything being an artist. I mean, for you, Kevin, for someone to come up to you one day and be like, listen, I had Big Trash tattooed on my back, you'd be like, what? Like that'd be so crazy.
I think the name of the band's a little more badass. I mean, I just that's gotta make for some very awkward first intimate encounters, let's say. Roach Koach is a family show. But you get back to the crib and you start going at it and you go, is that the guy from Disturbed staring at me?
Yeah, that's a conversation. Just before we get into it, I really like you.
It's Draymond with the Hannibal mask.
Yeah, it's just like, honey, it's not you. It's just the tattoo.
Draymond defends these breasts.
Unreal.
Only real ones get in there. All right. Speaking of real ones, we just talked about these boys recently on the show. It's Mudvayne, Death Blooms.
Kill. Death fucking blooms. Let's do this shit.
Is that a pig squealing in this record?
Matt, it's Death Blooms live. People are losing it. They're losing it. Also, this is the all-time intro of a song on this album. Kill, Death Blooms, let's do this shit. I mean, should we make that how we do this podcast now? Kill, Roach Koach, let's do this shit. Like, wow.
Cud with another stellar intro.
Yeah, this is prime Vayne. These guys are clearly crushing. The mix on this is good because you hear every clunk of that bass, baby. Like,
I was gonna say again, Ryan Martini, what a bassist! Holy shit!
Yeah, this is really something. This is also one where, yeah, they could have gone with Dig, and I honestly think this is a good choice because this was, I think, let's show off. We know Mudvayne, we know they can crush, but let's show a little bit more virtuosity in what we can do. So I was happy to hear this one. They sound invigorated. This made me look up, but did not purchase, but it did make me look up Mudvayne tickets and consider it once again for the reunion tour because this is real hot. Kevin, thoughts on Mudvayne?
Man, the intro to that song is literally like the zenith of why I love nu metal. That is just uniquely and specific nu metal. And also, shout out a word I learned recently from Chad from Mudvayne. I was listening to Turbo on Sirius XM, and man, they play a lot of Mudvayne on Turbo. I just want to say that, and like more than they probably should. And he was telling a story about how he wrote some song, and he used the word the term really the Chadness about like 6 times to describe what was going on in the song. And I did not leave that soundbite knowing anything more about how he made that song than before I heard it.
I mean, I think he's just evoking like at this point in the song, it's all me because I am Chad, and thus my vibe permeates. Maybe I'm guessing the Chadness. Yeah,
Matt's got a lot of Chadness to him.
You do, Matt. This is very true, Matt.
I say that all the time about myself.
Yeah, your aura, it is there. It's Matt or it's not. It's Nas or it's not.
It's Nas or it's not.
Matty Nas, baby.
Yeah, you got it.
Right. Okay.
Let's
no more preamble, you guys. Let's fucking do it. It's bodies.
You gotta stop fucking around. Let the bodies hit the floor. Fucking timeless. Come on.
Incredible. This was one that when they were sitting down, they was like, we can't not put bodies on this. We have to have bodies. This is simply incredible. This is the peak of the album for me. This is the best sounding, best track. It's incredible. Dave's vocals are amazing. Like, he is hitting these notes in ways and these screams that I'm just like, oh, this dude, he was the real motherfucking deal right here. That's what we're dealing with. This is a crusher performance. Honestly, once again, always hit with that great what if, what would have happened if he had not passed away. At 2:15, they do a build-up scream again. Like, he was doing it all, man. It's super amazing. And it ends with him saying, "What's up, motherfucker?" Which sounds like he saw someone he knew in the audience and was like, "What's up, motherfucker? Hey." What's going on?
Thanks for coming to the show, man.
Hey, you're at Ozzfest. Good to see you. See me in the back. Let's get some Bloody Marys. Yeah, this is great. I loved it. Super.
It's
super
so
great.
crazy that I'm so glad they put bodies on here because like you obviously in 2001 they had no idea that we were going to lose Dave, but like this Bodies itself, I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about Bodies and how it's such a great song, and it is a song that nearly every nu metal album needs their own version of. You hear that song and you're like, that's Drowning Pool, that's Dave Williams, that's Locked In, that's perfect. It doesn't need to be anything other than what it is. I'm so glad they captured it and they put it out because you never know. Thank God they got that because, you know, you can't get that again.
That's true. Kevin.
I got to give a huge shout out to SummerSlam 2001, man. This was the theme song.
Yes.
The Rock versus Booker T, dude. That there could not have been a bigger event in my life in the summer of 2001, and this was the official theme song. And for at least my demo, dude, that broke this band more than anything. So shout out to SummerSlam.
There you go. Shout out to
Also,
SummerSlam.
Shout out to Shaq. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Shaq has actually sampled Bodies on a new song, and I believe he has flipped it into "Let the Thoughties Hit the Floor."
Oh,
the Thoughties, which is I guess
Thoughties.
long for thoughts, which is short for something we probably don't want to say on Roach Koach.
Well, that's
Are we talking about that hoe over there?
we talking about that hoe over there? I have heard the Shaq version, and honestly, it's one of those ones where it's like, if you don't have your own Bodies, then just get Bodies. And
if you can afford Bodies, there's
We're
worse
going to taxidermy.
We got Bodies at home.
Yeah. We have Bodies at home, but also I have a Bodies, and I'm taking it. I love it. So we're at the halfway point, and also I think we're also at the halfway point of like we've run through a lot of like I guess would be the main stage bands, a lot of the bands that are the hot big bands. And so now we're going to get into the bands that in 2001 they're coming up, they're bubbling under. This could be their breakout year, or this could be it. So first up, we've got the Union Underground with South Texas Death Ride.
I mean, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's
premium nu metal.
It's premium new. It has a touch of the Manson in there, a little bit of a creepy crawl vibe on those verses, and I definitely think I think the only knock against it is it has to follow Bodies on this album. So it's always felt like a bit of a come down energy wise. But I did note when I did my notes that if I was at Ozzfest 2001 and I was walking across the field and I heard this one and I was midfield, I turned to my friend and I'd nod my head and say, hey, not bad. Not bad. South Ride, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm down for that. This did make me think about, though, like, yeah, doing this song at, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This guy's got to be clad in all black. Union Underground, Blazing Sun. You've really got to amp it up extra because, as we know, this stuff really does play best, under cover of night. And when exposed to the bright sun, it can be a little tougher. So I think that they sound very good and they really do pull it off. Kevin, I had a question for you in regards to sort of, being a host on television and now transitioning here to being basically a frontman of a band. How has that, what have you learned? Have you talked to anybody as far as like things that you realize, like fronting a band and performing in that way that's different from just like your hosting, things that you need to realize?
I actually think they're kind of analogous in a really weird way, where it kind of goes back to empathy in both regards for the audience, where when I'm hosting something, it's all about, it's all about thinking about the guest. And then, well, first off, it's all about thinking about the audience, then the guest, and then obviously me last. And I think it's very similar with the live performance is what, and you've touched on it too, Lorin, about just what does this audience want tonight? And I think also just, man, I've watched so many live performances. That's kind of how I learn any skill set is, watching and sort of taking the mental notes. And I think just connecting with people So I think they're actually pretty analogous. I mean, I don't know how many people would say that between, how similar Ryan Seacrest is to Jonathan Davis, but I think in terms of if you do it the right way, you know what I mean? And not a lot of people do it the right way. I see local bands. I even saw some bands recently that I'm just like, they think this is about them, but it's not about us. It's not about Big Trash. It's about the people. When I put together the set list, I was like, we had a 5-song set list for 30-minute set. And I was like, 2 of those got to be covers. And those can't be nu-metal songs. I wanted to get people going. I mean, we came out, bro, to Britney Spears. We walked out to Hit Me Baby One More Time. And that was completely strategic. I wanted to get all the women involved. I wanted to get people singing. I wanted to get people feeling good. So yeah, I think empathy is probably the through line between both those things.
Cool. Matt, other thoughts on Union Underground?
I know that we did them on the show.
We did.
I don't remember a ton. I do feel like there may have been a strip club involved a couple of times during that episode.
I feel like there's strip club vibes here. Definitely some strip club vibes.
But I gotta say, this recording is super fucking clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they sound great. So
Sharon Osbourne behind the boards.
Going to the talk, coming back, feeling like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do it. And let's do the next track.
That's right. It's OTEP with Filthy.
I feel like this is the first time we've heard OTEP in a long time.
So, Matt, I did a little research of us, researched the coach, and indeed, we last did OTEP on the show in July of 2017.
Oh, those halcyon days.
Though, back in those days. So yeah, so this is from the Jihad EP and would be on the Sevastra album that we would cover on the show. But when she did this performance, they had nothing. This was all like the people just like going off of reps, and everyone said, "Yep, this is the next hot band. Get them on the set." So they were out there winning people over with this. They had to come out with the heat every night because there weren't people sitting there being like, "Oh, I'm camping out for OTEP." They're like, "Who's OTEP?" Somebody's getting they're getting their pretzel at the concessions going, "You want to go see OTEP? I don't know what that is, but yeah, let's go. Let's wander over. Let's go check it out." And with this performance, this is a hot performance.
Hot performance.
Very hot performance. Kevin, how'd you feel about this one?
Man, I don't know if I'm going to lose some street cred, but I was not familiar with OTEP before this.
No loss here.
It's okay.
Your street cred, ironclad, my friend. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah. With OTEP, I mean, she's always been kind of more like underground nu metal. I think is she never the record that we did was her biggest record, and that wasn't a huge breakout. We have received a little bit of push over the years to do a couple more, and I know she's still very active. And the band is still active, so still doing heaters, still pushing up. I think there's a lot in her discography that correlates with some of the the conspiracy theory, the man is coming to get you vibe of some mid-career head PE. So I think there's a weird correlation with them as well in that way. So, but she brings the heat here. I would say, if you're hanging out at the second stage at Ozzfest 2001, and OTEP came out, you got a show. You got a show. All right. Up next, we've got What a Day by Nonpoint.
Ooh, they got some crowd interaction going on there.
You can feel Nonpoint have made themselves known to this audience. They've already got the Nonpoint faithful ready to go right off the bat, as we know, because the Nonpoint fandom is strong and persistent. This has always been a song where I'm like, I like this song fine, but as we all know, if you go back to Statement, that album, it's all about Orgullo.
It is.
It's all about Orgullo. But this is a solid performance. The audience clearly on their side, ready to rock and roll. This was their closer, from what I can tell from the set list online. So, this is solid back half. Once again, walking across the field, you've got yourself an elephant ear, you got yourself a tall brew, and you're like, yeah, Nonpoint are doing the damn thing. They're doing the damn thing. Kevin, Nonpoint.
I was a late bloomer to Nonpoint. Actually, I became aware of Nonpoint semi-recently because they covered Prince when Doves Cry.
That's
Beautifully
right.
mad.
I actually did get to see Nonpoint open for POD about 3 or 4 years ago, and they really brought the heat. And I went with a friend of the show, Josh Toomey, and he introduced me to Rob Rivera afterwards, and he's like, Lorin really wanted you to do our Gulo, and Rob's like, yeah, we don't do that one at where we're opening, maybe at a headliner, but not when we open. And I was like, okay, I understand. Also, thanks for putting me on blast. But he was very nice.
Lorin thought the show sucked because he didn't do Gulo.
You didn't do the song I wanted to hear, huh? But they're road dogs. Nonpoint, they're road dogs. They're out there, they're putting in the work and consistently bringing the heat. So good stuff. All right, we're here. We got some boys. Last time we heard from them, they were on the Tattoo the Earth tour. Here they are now on Ozzfest. And they're bringing that same energy, you guys. It's Hatebreed, Last Breath.
This song is dedicated to anyone who's ever lost someone they care about. You gotta keep those memories alive in your heart. This is Last Breath. Let me hear this scream.
Yeah. That's the stuff right there. I gotta tell you, every time Hatebreed shows up on this, I'm just the passion, the energy, you feel the connection. And then with a line like, we're gonna start this song up. We've been hearing some decent banter, this is Fear, kill, death blooms, let's fucking go. Of course, Zakk Wylde saying, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, great stuff. But the line, keep those memories alive in your heart, let me see those fists in the air. Wow. True connection. With that one, I have to say, if I'm walking across the field and I got my soft pretzel and my hot dog, I might have to pitch him. In the air. Take the loss.
You're about to go in?
I gotta go in. Summer 2001?
All my limbs. Flame, Lorin.
All my limbs still work then, Matt. I still think. I just want to give it.
Dodgy shoulder, knees intact.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about me. Since I hit 40, apparently I'm just falling apart. My thumb's all messed up. I've got, as we record this, Achilles tendonitis, and I can't even stand. It's insane. You hit 40. Yeah, I'm just telling you. Kevin, you're still in your 20s, right?
30 now, dude.
You're 30? Oh, well, happy birthday. Well,
thank you. You. It's today.
Yeah, well, there we go. Thank you for spending it with us. Yeah, I just tell you, let me tell you, once you hit 40, buddy, it really does all start to fall apart in crazy ways. Inflicted. So, because I was trying to figure out, how do I have Achilles tendonitis? And they were like, have you been walking lately? I was like, you mean like my life? Yes, I've been walking lately. Shouldn't have done that. My bad. Should have stayed prone.
Wait, so their argument is stop walking?
Well, they were just like, that's the only thing they could figure out. They were like, that's the only way this would happen. Is
super helpful, guys. Thanks, Doc.
Listen, I've been going through medical hell. I've been misdiagnosed. They thought I had gout 2 weeks ago. Did not have gout.
Well, gout would have been my first guess.
Because I love to eat rich foods. It's true, but it was not gout.
I mean, it's your opulent lifestyle. It's the life and times of the multi-thousandaire Roach Koach boys.
That's right.
Currently unemployed me and you.
Hey, listen, it's going to be a lot less, once I get started getting these medical bills, let me tell you. So, Hatebreed, they brought the heat, feeling good. And now we're going to talk about a band that we have never talked about in this show. I'm certain. That band is called Systematic with the song Deep Colors Bleed.
There's way too much fucking standing around out here. You guys gotta fucking get the fuck up right now.
That is world-class banner. Before we even start. Wait, hey, way too much standing around here. What the fuck are you guys doing?
I like the tone here is very high school principal trying to get
disappointed
everybody.
Dad also like what are you?
What's this is standing around?
This isn't dad coaching baseball. What are you doing in the outfield? Can we see a little Charlie Hustle out there, please?
Eye on the ball. We got a pit about to start here.
Anyway, come on, boys. Good effort. Good effort. Bring a run home.
Matt, I saw your face there when we hit those vocals, especially the chorus there. We got more than a hint of crack there. It got
Yeah.
pretty butt. We got pretty butt. Are you doing okay? How you doing?
Well, I was not expecting. Well, at least I didn't get changed, but I certainly got butt rocked. It's interesting because like I hear a song like that, and it's like steal from the best. I mean, they are stealing left and right. Nobody's pantry has been left unsundered. And I'm like, okay, we got the Disturbed cookbook in here, a lot more of the Disturbed cookbook. We got some good riffing. We got some good things going on. He comes in. He's kind of got that Jarl. I don't like a Jarl. It's well established. I'm not a Jarl guy. And then he pushes it straight into the Jarly grunty. Not my thing. Not my thing. Good for them. And then I pull up a picture of our boys in Systematic, and the lead singer does look like a coach. He has a real coach vibe. He is a very bald man, strong, lengthy goatee, and he's got that vibe of just like, where's the effort? I need to see where Charlie hustled. Come on.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes
Head
that
in the game, boys. Head in the game.
The tone of that opening thing is very, you got time to lean, you got time to clean, like right after he did this, he's like, listen, I got to go manage a Wendy's from 6 to 10. All right.
The first time I heard time to lean, time to clean, I was a cook at Pizza Hut. Yes. And the manager came over. The manager, everybody hated, came over, and like we had 2 seconds in between orders, and we were like, he's like, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. And we're like, shut the fuck up. Nobody likes you, in our heads. And we were like, oh, okay. Get back to making pizzas.
Yeah. Kevin, how'd you feel about Systematic?
I was feeling it. New to them as well. So it's been like a learning experience on Roach Koach today. But I'm still kind of reeling from Matt's Jarl. That was pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I've been practicing.
Matt's been hearing enough Jarl at this point that even though he doesn't like it, he's an expert. It's kind of weird how that works out,
It sounds like he's been listening to a lot of 7 Mary 3.
Oh, cumbersome. What a track. What a track.
She heard that heavens have a dick.
Remember when like that was the only song that was played in America, Matt? Cumbersome.
Oh yeah, was that in Cracker, right? It's just
yeah. Oh, Cracker Low. Oh, Cracker Low is still being played to this day. To this day, right now as we talk, it's being played. I had a question for you, Kevin, in regards to your work in radio. Are you given any options as far as like picking the set list, or is it largely determined by other people? Do you get to put in any like, hey, this is a Kevin one I heard I think would be good on the air?
So nowadays, not so much. So my radio show, cheap plug, airs across the country on a bunch of different alternative rock stations, including Detroit's 98.7. Shout out to
Hey, all right.
And but actually, it was actually like during the pandemic, dude. It was kind of the wild, wild west, and they kind of changed protocol partly because of just how ridiculous it got. I mean, like even in New York, I would just do like a nu-metal hour. And these aren't like, local radio stations. They're like commercial radio stations. And so, but it gets a little chaotic. So I don't know. It's a fair balance. I mean, there is a lot though of like when you're doing a show that goes across the country, every one of those radio stations is playing something different. You know what I mean? So it's a little tricky situation, but whenever you can, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Cool. Absolutely. Yeah. In my when I was in radio for the brief time, I remember having this sort of disheartening moment when I was talking to one of the program directors, and he was like making the set list or the playlist that was going to be playing for the next like weeks, and I was like, oh, are you factoring in like requests and everything like that? And he's like, Lorin, I got so much I got to do. I just got this list emailed to me. I'm just trying to get these uploaded. I got a job. I was like, it was a real like food in the family. I was like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense. At a certain point, you're like, cool, I love this great song, but also I do need to get out of here by 5 because I've got errands to run. And when I was like 26, I was just like, what? It's about the music, man. But now as a 40 plus year old
See,
person.
this
who's-
is
yeah.
the hardest thing for us right here, is because we over-index on the show part of show business. Way
Yeah.
over-indexed on the show part. Like, it's all about the vibes and the connection. And then there's somebody being like, yeah, we actually need to put food on our families. So could we fucking not do so much of that, please?
Well, I remember it was like finding out the Easter Bunny wasn't real when I got to MTV and I was doing TRL, the reboot. I was like, you know, kind of you were asking me before, Lorin, about the live performance. It's like, well, dude, I've watched so many concerts trying to learn from these people, and I wanted to watch all the old TRLs. And a little part of me died inside when I got all the TRL episodes from back in the day, and some of them were pre-taped. And I was like, wait a minute, then how do we know if Korn's at number 3 today? And so they would like, some of those countdowns were, you know, it wasn't so specific, I guess you could say.
Unbelievable.
I know.
My
Oh my
world.
God.
I honestly went, that died a little.
Honestly, yeah, like hearing that, I'm like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, they didn't have the bean counters literally there going, we've got 6 calls in for one more time, we've got 7 calls in for Nookie, give it to Nookie. Like,
Well, you guys know the Tom Green story, right?
I know that
I've heard a million Tom Green stories, so tell me.
I know
All right.
the Bum Bum song, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, he's got that late night show on MTV in '99, and TRL's this hot thing on the network. And so he's like, yo, I'm going to make this joke song, the Bum Bum song, and I want you guys to vote it on TRL. Well, it becomes like the #1 video on TRL for like a week, and just is kind of ruining the show because it's just his fans are like trolling the show. And so it was summertime, and in the summertime, they do a lot of location shoots. And so they had pre-taped TRL for the following week. So they already pre-taped it, like, you know, Carson saying, hey, Backstreet's #1, Limp Bizkit's #1, whatever. And so they had to go to Tom Green and be like, hey, dude, you have to retire this video. And he's like, I don't want to retire this video. This is amazing. This is like amazing content. They're like, dude, like, you got to play ball. And so after like 5 days of being #1 on a Friday, the last live episode for the next like 2 weeks, he retired the video in Times Square because they couldn't go on the air next week and be like, why isn't the Bum Bum song on the countdown? So they had to like uphold it. And so that's why it got retired so quickly.
Wow.
I know.
That is wild. That is nuts. That is
Crazy.
nuts. The behind the scenes. I tell you how the sausage is made. It can get messy. Believe it or not, we only have 2 songs left on this compilation.
Well, let's do them.
Okay. All right, Matt. We got a band that I can say confidently none of us have ever heard of before. Their name is Pure Rubbish, and the song is called Kiss of Death. So I had to look up Pure Rubbish and find out what the story is on this band. So first and foremost, I want to point out that they were signed to Sharon Osbourne's record label, Divine Recordings, on Priority Records.
Okay.
So that's how they got in there. Sharon gave them the full push. They were in the following magazines. Maybe you've heard of them: Rolling Stone,
I've heard of
Spin,
that. Yep.
Billboard, Guitar
Yep.
World, Kerrang,
Yep.
Metal Edge,
Yep.
Houston Press,
What?
and etc. That's right. They were
etc.
etc.
By
You love
Penguin?
them.
Penguin
Mhm.
Publishing's etc.
Exactly. They were Kelly Osbourne's backing band at the 2002 MTV Movie Awards. But the most interesting thing about them is that they never put an album out. They recorded an album with Mike Klink from Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Megadeth, titled The Glamorous Youth, and it never saw official release because the band basically had infighting about what direction they wanted to go in. Half the band wanted to continue to make a sound that drew from the Beatles, David Bowie, and Radiohead, while the other 2 guys said, we want to play hard rock. And then they just split up and never actually put any records out. And apparently this was over the course of many years. And I look at this one. I mean, they have an extensive Wikipedia of the breakdown. It was like they opened for AC/DC on the Stiff Upper Lip tour. I mean, they had everything set up to go, and they just could not come to an understanding as a band of what they actually wanted to do forward. Because I guess at one point they were doing something with Roadrunner. They presented new songs to Roadrunner, and Roadrunner said, what is this? This isn't the pure rubbish that we knew that we wanted to get in business with. What's this stuff? And they're like, this is the new direction. And they were like, we don't like the new direction. And so, yeah, so they never put a record out, and it never happened. And I guess these type of stories happen all the time, but it's weird because when you read through it, it seems like a little bit of a self-inflicted wound. So that's why none of us have ever heard of Pure Rubbish, because they never actually, this might be like the only official recording you can buy. So, yeah. Kevan, Pure Rubbish.
My thoughts on Pure Rubbish are, I'm kind of torn between A Dozen Furies that we were talking about earlier, or Pure Rubbish as the best name mentioned on this Roach Koach episode. Also, Pure Rubbish, I feel like they're kind of biting Big Trash a little bit.
Yeah, I was.
That's like the British version of Big Trash, I feel like.
Yeah. I think when you go overseas, you'll be like, that's how you'll go through customs. You're like, you may think of us as Pure Rubbish, but
you're sizable rubbish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Put us in the bin, as they say.
Rotund rubbish. And I enjoyed them. They had a very kind of like Motorhead, AC/DC type of hard rock and hard driving feel.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was weird? You just mentioned Motorhead, Matt.
Yep.
I was at the Rainbow on Sunset this week, and when you go diamond or platinum or whatever, even gold, sometimes you present plaques to people, right? Like radio stations or people that helped you with the record. Motorhead presented the Rainbow with a plaque. I thought that was interesting.
Wow.
Presenting a restaurant. I mean, obviously, I'm being a little facetious here. Like, the Rainbow is obviously iconic. Lemmy very attached to that place. But I was like, there's definitely not like a TGI Fridays with a plaque.
No.
So,
and there shouldn't be.
Well, I saw the plaque and I said, when Big Trash goes gold, I just want to give a random Applebee's a plaque. Just a random Applebee's. Like just one in Arkansas.
Yeah. Honestly, if we ever go platinum or gold, you know who's getting my plaque. And it's Del Taco, baby. That's who's getting it. Love those
They're
guys.
at least getting a certificate of appreciation.
Absolutely.
Are you a big Del Taco fan, Lorin?
Oh, I love Del Taco. They'll put guac on anything.
Can I tell a quick Del Taco story?
Absolutely.
And a story about fumbling a major bag, as they say. I was at the Billboard Music Awards in 2022. Yeah, not this year, last year. It's in Vegas, and I'm there with a buddy of mine and my girlfriend, and I just get hammered. I had done this like 100-day challenge where I had not drank at all. And then so I just get absolutely hammered, spill my drink on Meg Thee Stallion's aunt. Her whole family moves. The producers come out, and they're like, because we're in like, the talent section, whatever, where you get shots on television. They come out, they're like, are you going to behave? I was like, yeah, I'm having a good time. Like, what the hell? So then, of all people, I meet Diddy for the first time. So Diddy and I are talking, and Diddy kind of pulls me in close, and he's like, yo, I'm throwing this party at Tal later. Are you going to come? I was like, bro, this is amazing. I'm going to Diddy's party. This is like I'm in a movie. So I'm like, dude, of course. He's like, don't say you're going to come if you're not going to come to my party, bro. I was like, why would I not come? You're P. Diddy, right? So proceed to get even drunker throughout the show and get in a huge fight with my girlfriend, huge fight with my friend, and wound up not at Diddy's party, but at Lorin.
Del Taco.
Yep. So stood up P. Diddy for Del Taco. Del Taco over Diddy. That's how we're rolling on this Roach Koach episode.
Wow. Well, I mean,
and the next time you see Diddy, he is going to be fucking pissed.
Yeah, I hope
you're going to tell him about Del Taco. He's going to be like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's the shrimp taco. If Diddy has had the shrimp taco, then he knows.
Also, tell me which TV you like the most in your house. And once you tell him, he's going to look at it and it's going to break that TV. Because if you do not know this, there's an urban legend that P. Diddy breaks monitors. Like if he looks at a television or anything, this is not bullshit. I have not.
What?
Where did you hear this?
Where is this from?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's from the Chris Gethard show. I believe Paul Scheer was like a PA or something on the set with P. Diddy, and he's talking like, Diddy will break watches, like he has an electromagnetic field around him, like he will fuck up electronics, man.
Wow.
I hope he doesn't fuck me up for not going to his party, but it
Oh,
was
yeah.
kind of like the opposite of the American dream. You know what I mean? Your life can change overnight. I kind of marveled as I was eating my shrimp taco, Lorin, about how I could go in 30 minutes from being invited to a Diddy party to being alone at a Del Taco on the Vegas Strip. But it was delicious.
That's the thing. And you know what? It's I've told the story before. I was recently in Michigan. I got Del Taco twice in 2 days. And of course, gave me a little bit of an upset stomach. And then Rachel said to me, she goes, "Why would you go to Del Taco 2 times in 1 day?" And I said, the shrimp is back. And she went, oh, well, you should have told me that. I understand now. So I feel like when you do see Diddy again, and I do believe you will, and he's like, "You didn't come to my party," you'd be like, "Listen, I ended up having to go to Del Taco." And he's like, "Oh, the shrimp was there. Say no more. Here you go."
And then he's going to be like,
Maybach.
"Is that a TV?"
Yep.
I'm gonna bring it up when a TV is around, so he's distracted.
Yeah. Matt, we're on the last track of the
You know, I
album.
never asked the question I always ask, which is how respectful of our time, because I've been having such a good time. But
Yeah.
Lorin, how long is this record?
This album comes in at 1 hour and 5 minutes.
But it is a concert album, so that's kind of respectful.
Yeah, it's respectful, and
And they know you're going to skip a band or two, so probably comes in at 45.
much like a real concert, you might have to go to the bathroom.
Gotta
or have to
dip.
go get some, you gotta dip, you know? Or you know, things aren't going so well for you. You've had a little too much and you gotta leave early to say, go to Del Taco, you know? I mean, maybe you get PTSD from that guy lecturing you, time to lean, time to clean, and you're like, I gotta go.
I gotta go.
I need a minute.
There's a lot of people standing around.
Almost sounds like Matt Foley.
Yeah.
Just part of the character.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
does. Yeah.
Once a Midwest guy raises his voice, it just becomes
No,
What's
Matt Foley.
happening?
Yeah, we
I've been divorced thrice time.
believe it or not, we are on the last track. And it
Sure.
is some boys we've talked about before on the show. These are the Holiday Kirk ride or dies right here. It's American Head Charge, Reach and Touch. All right, Matt. So this is the last song of the album. I'm listening to this album on first listen. I did a car listen. This is my first listen. And at 2:05, something happens that made me yell in my car, "Whoa!"
All right. Well, I've got it queued up. Let's do this.
I want to see you kill the person next to you.
Hold on a minute. Can we slow down for a second? Look, man.
Hey, I'm missing the manager right now. That guy was a little more reasonable. Time to lean, time to clean. I get it. This
Hey,
guy's
lead
like,
singer of American Head Charge. I'm trying to fucking catch a case here at Ozzfest. Let's relax a little bit. This is an unreasonable request. Look, it's Lord of Flies time. I know we're in Wisconsin, but you gotta murder the man next.
also, I mean, if we're to run this, that this is a reverse set list. So American Head Charge played first or second. These guys are like, yeah, you know what 1:30 in the afternoon needs at Ozzfest? Some bodies, like murder.
Fucking murder. You know what's great? Just rotting corpses the rest of the day at Ozzfest. Because of course they would keep it going, because no one would be able to tell if it was theatrics or not. So you just have all these bodies everywhere, and people were like, Ozzy, you really went out with the decorations.
You really
this
did
year."
it this year. I yelled. I could not believe it. I was like, that's crazy. That is some crazy
After you
banter.
murder the man
I want
next
you to
you,
do. Oh
I
my
need
god.
you to do my taxes.
Also unreasonable.
And then I need you to form a 403B to invest in your child's education. Shortly thereafter, I want you to form an LLC that's also non-taxable.
Oh my God. So, I mean,
I
once
want you
again,
to call a friend from a payphone and reconcile a disagreement that you've had right now. There
Kevin,
are
when
no women here, but you need to find your mate in this vicinity, or the next song will not get played. After that, make a kitchen in the pit and make me a pasta primavera. Oh,
Needless to say, they were kicked off the tour.
they were kicked off the tour. Too many demands from the audience. The guy's out there in the audience. He's trying to get ingredients for that Parmesan. He's like, I don't have enough here. Wow. Kevin, what did you think of American Head Charge?
I'm very honored to be on an episode where we had our first harmonica, and I have to imagine Pasta Primavera reference.
It
Yes,
definitely was.
absolutely.
And also to tie it back to our earlier conversation, we were talking about when nu metal may have or may have not have jumped the shark. I think we have a leading candidate of when this band called for murder at Ozzfest 2001. When that may have been the moment, you know. But no, this. I mean, I learned. You shouted him out. I'll shout him out as well. I learned about this band through Holiday Kirk. And I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here, but I'm pretty sure Holiday has an American Head Charge poster in his bedroom that I've seen. So he's about that life.
He's ride or die.
He's ride or die. He's basically like if he got hit by a car and an ambulance had to like drive him and they're like loading him in, he'd be like, if I don't make it, you guys got to know about American Head Charge. Like I got to rep them to my dying breath. It's a true fandom.
What's amazing about what you just said, Lorin, you know, he literally was hit by a car like 2 months ago.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Amazing.
that's right.
That's amazing. Right. You just said that, dude. He came over to lay down guitar. He was the only dude that I knew that would have a drop or a 7-string guitar, and I needed guitars on a Big Trash song. So we spend the whole night. He lays down this whole thing, and then the next day I text him and I'm like, "Hey man, just thanks so much for coming by, like giving your time." He's like, "I just got hit by a bus." And I thought he was kidding. Like I thought he was hungover or something. And he's all good now, so we can laugh about it, I hope. But he literally got hit by a car.
Jeez. Wow. That's crazy. I think I remember him posting about it. He went through a similar kind of insane emergency room situation of no one could see him and he had to like pop his own arm back in or something. It was crazy.
He's insane. He is truly an insane human. When you meet him in the flesh, it's he's not real. You know what I mean? It's like if nu metal truly was a person. It's pretty remarkable.
Wow. Well, there we go. And there we have it. Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium. That's the album. And now we've come to the part of the show where we talk about
Canon Talk. Talk about that Canon.
Ooh,
an explosion.
Ooh, I like that explosion there. There we go. Kevin, we'll start with you.
Well, I want to first say that I take Roach Koach very seriously, arguably too seriously, and I hold the Roach Koach canon in incredibly high regard. So I'm not thinking about this lightly. My response, look, it's got to go in the canon. It's got to go in the canon because it is a documentation of the summer of 2001, which is a very important time period to document in understanding the history and potential downfall of nu metal. So it's going in my canon.
Okay.
Lorin.
Right. Wow. What I noted from this was that it's a very solid set. It even over an hour, it really clips every song into the next. Not a ton of banter. What banter we do get is very interesting and telling. Be it we want you to kill the person that's next to you, or you got time to lean, you got time to clean, or this is fear, or Zakk Wylde saying Limp Bizkit still sucks dick. All of these, this just occurred to me right now as we're recording this. Is Limp Bizkit still sucks? Is that a reference to Zakk Wylde?
They might they might owe Zakk some money.
Whoa. As a time capsule, I do think that it is very strong in that way. I don't know if I'd put the whole thing in. I felt the only thing on this that truly felt like preserve this, put it in the canon, is the live bodies, because it's so good. They sound so amazing. I was just leaning toward live bodies as the one thing to put in the canon. Matt, what do you think?
Well, we know we're leaving here with live bodies in the canon, 100%, because there's no way that that cannot go in. Now it's the thought that I have is what Kevin's talking about here as an artifact, as a piece of time, because we're gonna have 2002 come up, and it feels like nu metal is on the decline at that point. This is the last big hurrah. I just wish the track listing was a little tighter evidence of that. Because the things that have launched this boat to sea were from the year previous in 1999. Follow the Leader's been out for a long time. Significant Other's been out. Chocolate Starfish has been out. But God, having unheard Slipknot being played, that's significant. But the rest, I mean, the rest of the album, we got harmonica, we got the Wizard. We do have a soggy back half that is interesting, but not essential. So do we frame Ozzfest 2001 as that would go into the canon, and then the song, it's the only song we would mention is the live recording of Bodies? I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I exactly understand what you're saying, Kevin. This is a pretty good testament, and I don't think we're going to put a different one in. At the same time, I don't think this is the strongest representation of songs. Yes, Linkin Park's on it. Yes, Papa Roach is on it. That seems canon worthy right there. I mean, those are canon artists that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, but then it's Zakk Wylde and Ozzy himself. I would not put in there. Black Sabbath I wouldn't put into the canon because they're not nu-metal canon stuff. So I'm kind of torn. I don't have if it was, hey Matt, you have to vote, I would say put in Bodies and then figure out where you're going to put 2001 Ozzfest as a concept. Is that the junk drawer? What are we doing? Like, it's got to go somewhere because it is important. Like,
yeah. I mean, I feel like you could put the live bodies in and have Ozzfest 2001 as an important aspect of the junk drawer, I guess.
Well, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Fred Durst blowing up a boat in the canon?
Sure is.
Better be.
Then I think Ozzfest 2001 with this lineup, because we didn't cover the lineup soup to nuts, but Ozzfest 2001 might be canon worthy.
You know what? Let's do it. Because clearly this is that moment. They're in there. And also, honestly, is there anything more nu metal than you're not even there and someone's telling you that you suck dick from stage? That's it. Ozzfest 2001, the Second Millennium, in the nu-metal canon, baby.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in there.
This is it, because listen to this lineup. In the UK, it's Sabbath, Slipknot, Tool, Papa Roach, Soulfly, Head PE, Raging Speedhorn. And then in the US, it's Sabbath, Manson, Slipknot, Papa Roach, Linkin Park, Disturbed, Crazy Town, then Black Label. Yeah, 2001's in the fucking canon. There we go.
There it is. There it is. There you go. Ozzfest, welcome. You, Ozzy, Sharon, all the work you do. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kevin, for coming on the show. This was a true pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a Roach Rider and supporting the show. Thank you for contributing to the culture with Big Trash. We're excited to hear more music down the line. if none of my if my foot doesn't fall off my body, maybe I'll try to make it out to a show. We can get some Del Taco after. That'd be great. And yeah, thanks so much. Anything? I mean, you've got Big Trash. You've got anything else you wanted to plug before we go?
No, just at Big Trash Music on IG. We're gonna give you a lot of Big Trash music, as you might imagine. A lot of memes. Memes are going crazy right now on Big Trash Music. And then yeah, Big Trash on all streaming platforms. And the single out now is Payday. We got another one dropping in July, and shows throughout the summer. We might even be coming to Lansing, guys. How far is Lansing from Roach Koach land?
Not too far.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
like a 60, 70-minute drive. Yeah. So
All
yeah,
right.
that's close by. Yeah.
So
Well,
TBD.
all right. Well, awesome. Kevin, a true pleasure. Thank you so much. Congratulations on everything you are doing. We're fans and I guess now we're friends. So there you go.
Look at us.
Yeah. Keep on. So yeah, definitely check out Big Trash Music. Definitely get those streams up, baby. That's what we're doing. It's 2023. Need those streams up. So add it to your summer playlist or your 2023 playlist. I know people got different playlists, playlist era. Add it to every list you got.
Trash isn't on there, followed by Dropout Kings. I don't know what you're doing this summer. Don't know what you're doing. What the fuck else do you need?
I'm telling you, if you don't have a playlist and it doesn't have Big Trash Payday, followed by Glitch Gang, followed by Dropout King's Vacuum Cleaner, you ain't doing summer right. You ain't doing summer right. Do it right. And thank you so much for listening. Keep on saying hello to Roach Koach online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're Roach Koach on all of those. Send us an email, roachkoachpodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, Matt, thank you.
Lorin, thank you.
Kevin, thank you.
Yeah, right. Bye.
Bye-bye.